Test one, two, test one, two. Okay, and we are live. We have not that much of a stacked show, but I wanted to tie up a few loose odds and ends from yesterday's stream. So we were talking about the Ta-Nehisi Coates versus Ezra Klein interview, which we didn't really get into.
There are two things that are true.
Hasan went on to a Christian fundamentalist podcast, who is also a New York Times writer. And it was pretty funny because the guy insisted on saying that Hasan is like the root cause of violent radicalism on the left. And so you have that whole thing. You have Zoran Mamdani going on to The View and the fallout there. Krystal Ball
about it and
talking with Tommy Lauren, which should be entertaining. I saw like a few clips of that. I haven't seen the entire thing. Also, like, look at this. Her channel is called Tommy Lauren is Fearless. That's the name of her channel. Also, this thumbnail, come on, man. You couldn't have found a better picture of Krystal. Well, like, she looks like she's in some kind of magazine photo shoot. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff to get into. Let's start off with the biggest disappointment for me, probably like out of this week. Let's start off with Bill Burr and comedians going to the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. So obviously, if they just went to Saudi Arabia, it's like, yeah, the United States has done some shitty things. Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, all of these comedians live in the United States. But they're going to Saudi Arabia specifically getting paid by the king, like the government of Saudi Arabia, to do pro-Saudi Arabia propaganda. So there's a difference between living in the United States, doing performances in the United States, and like going to the fucking White House and doing a song and dance for the fascist president. And even Trump is not as bad as the Saudi Arabian government. Like, Trump owns some slaves, sure, but he hasn't built his entire government off of slaves, at least not yet. So, the new Taylor Swift album? Okay, I might have to listen to that. Kidding. I'm sure, yeah, Taylor. I'm sure her music's great. So this is Bill Burr's
Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia after receiving millions of
This is his explanation, or like a debriefing of it.
dollars from the royal family for one show.
Tipping the cap to the people that set up the festival over there. When they first went to set it up over there, the rules on what they had about what you could say and what you couldn't say in Saudi Arabia, the people running the festivals will be like, all right, well, man, that's game, set, match. If this is like all you can talk about and you want some good comedians, like, this isn't going to work. And then to their credit, they said, all right, what do we got to do? And they just negotiated it all the way down to, like, you can talk about anything, you know, other than a couple things, which was basically religion, don't make fun of the royals, and other than...
So right off the bat, that's hilarious. Like, he's going to a comedy show and he has a list of things that he can't talk about. And then he's like, well, don't worry, like, I wasn't censored myself. I actually got them to whittle it down to, you just can't talk about religion and you can't talk about royalty. Like, these are some of the two biggest areas for comedy. Making fun of religious people and making fun of people in power. And those were off the table. So you'll hear what Bill Burr actually makes fun of in this. Hey, thank you for the gifted membership.
And that it was all, everything was like open. Anyway, I go in, it's this beautiful venue. It's in the...
God, Instagram sucks because you can't rewind the video. He's like, everything was open. Let me just refresh.
Perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia after...
No, Grace, I totally agree with you. Oh my God, this Instagram player is
to the people that
me.
set up the festival over there.
But
When they first went to set it up over there, the rules on what they had about what you could say and what you couldn't say in Saudi Arabia, the people running the festivals will be like, all right, well, man, that's game, set, match. If this is like all you can talk about and you want some good comedians, like, this isn't going to work. And then to their credit, they said, all right, what do we got to do? And they just negotiated it all the way down to, like, you can talk about anything, you know, other than a couple things, which was basically religion, don't make fun of the royals. And other than that, It was everything was like open. Anyway, I go in. It's this beautiful venue. It's in the round. Everybody's like, no, just do your shit. Do your shit. Just don't talk about those two things. I'm like, I can talk about, yeah, it's going to be fine. I'm like, it's going to be fine, right? So I'm like, all right. So I go up on stage. I start doing my shit, and they're into it. Everything's going good. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm checking out the diplomats as I'm doing this stuff, and they're all laughing. All right, so I'm going to push a little farther. All of a sudden, I start getting in the zone. Oh, Billy's feeling loose up there. And my brain just goes, gay Jim. And then the other part of my brain goes, don't do that. And then I said, it, I'm going to do it. So I started doing the joke, and it murdered. And at that point, I was just like, it, I'm just doing my...
Wow, he's using the word murdered when you're talking about gay people in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you really want to be putting that kind of implication out there, Bill. But yeah, great job telling a story about how you had a good set in Saudi Arabia, even after making fun of gay people or making jokes about gay people. Like, that was immensely brave of you. Like, the doing it is one thing, but then going onto your podcast the next day and just not trying to ignore it, but like patting yourself on the back and congratulating yourself for doing it. And I'm sure we can find some other clips of Bill Burr, but in other clips he's talking about how, like, oh yeah, he was expecting everyone in Saudi Arabia to be carrying scimitars and yell death to America as soon as they saw a pale skin get off of the plane. But actually, they were just normal people. So everyone was just lying to Bill. It's like, dude, you have a bigoted view of what's happening in Saudi Arabia, and you're like, oh, everyone hates America there. That's why people are telling you that you shouldn't go there, rather than the countless human rights abuses that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has committed, and you're getting paid by them. You're like a dancing jester by them. The fact that he's trying to like dress it up as some kind of brave thing that he did by going over there and humanizing the people of Saudi Arabia. And like, actually, if you are critical of Bill for going over there, then you're the bigoted person. Like, just listen to how this ends.
Doing the joke, and it murdered. And at that point, I was just like, it, I'm just doing my act. So I did my act, and I had to stop a couple times.
I'm just doing my act, but you know, you can't make fun of Muslim people, and you can't make fun of the kingdom, the government of the country you're in, because if you do, maybe you get disappeared, maybe you get found in a barrel somewhere. But he's just doing his act. It's just like a normal. It's like a normal act. Saudi Arabia, Boston. It's the same thing. You bought his old FUPA fund domain? I do have an email. It's in my channel description. Why don't, yeah, shoot me an email. It's in my channel description. It's just uninformedleftist@gmail.com.
Times during the show, I was like going like, I'll be honest with you guys, I cannot believe any of you have any idea who I am. This is really amazing. And it was just this great exchange of energy, right? I got off stage, everybody took pictures and all of that type of stuff. The Royals loved the show. Everyone was happy. The people that were doing the festival were thrilled. It was a mind-blowing experience. Definitely top 3 experiences I've ever had.
Bill Burr laid out what it was really like.
It was a mind-blowing experience. Definitely the top 3 experiences I've ever had. This is funny. I haven't seen this. This is a Fox News clip, and they have these 2 women to talk about Bill Burr. I'm so curious to see what they have to say.
Comedian Bill Burr taking to his podcast to defend his performance at a Saudi Arabian comedy festival in the Middle East last week.
Just like us, to like, you can talk about anything, you know, other than a couple things, which was basically, you know, religion, don't make fun of the royals. Everyone was happy. The people that were doing the festival were thrilled. It was a mind-blowing experience. Definitely top 3 experiences I've ever had. And it was great to experience that part of the world and to be a part of the first comedy festival over there in Saudi Arabia. I think it's going to lead to a lot.
Like, this should be an SNL skit. This should be an SNL skit of comedians going to Saudi Arabia and then having to tiptoe over the minefield of things they can and can't say. Like, holy shit. SNL, if you want a topical skit that would actually be hilarious, have people have like a set of comedians up on the stage, and then they keep making fun of things, and then they just can't help themselves but make fun of the king, and like the comedians keep getting whittled down and down one by one as they make taboo jokes that get them disappeared by the like a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia is an oxymoron. it's so funny. I mean, obviously, like when it's funded by the fucking government that kills people for their free expression, and a prerequisite of the comedy festival is that you actually have a list of subjects that you can't breach at all. Like, it would be one thing. I would respect it if they're like, yeah, we're gonna like pay you to do your act. And you can make fun of us. Like, you just consider it like a roast. You can actually target Islam. You can target the government of Saudi Arabia, the kingdom. But no, they actually had a list where they're like, you can't mention any of these things. It's a completely neutered, meaningless type of just publicity propaganda performance that they put on. Like Bill Burr says, I think it's going to lead to a lot of positive things. Okay, like what? Normalizing slavery? Is that what we're doing?
The Royals. Everyone was happy. The people that were doing the festival were thrilled. It was a mind-blowing experience. Definitely top 3 experiences I've ever had. And it was great to experience that part of the world and to be a part of the first comedy festival over there in Saudi Arabia. I think it's going to lead to a lot of positive things.
Fox News contributor Kat Tim joins me now. Kat, you must really love me.
I do.
Good morning.
I couldn't sleep, but here I am, so hopefully this goes okay.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yes,
I know
course.
it is a different time slot for you, but we appreciate having you on. Should he have to defend himself for something like this?
Well, the thing is that it is funny that he went so hard, right?
Right.
I would have, I think, respected it more if he was just like, you know what? The money was real good.
Yeah, right.
I took
he was
that.
like, Saudi Arabia is perfect.
I took that.
A rare point of agreement that the left, the liberals, and the fascist Republicans have. I mean, maybe not Donald Trump or Stephen Miller would have this kind of take where it's like, oh yeah, just say that you took it for the money. He'd probably be like, no, this is actually perfect. Bill Burr did nothing wrong by going to Saudi Arabia, and we need more people to go to Saudi Arabia.
Real good money. Instead, he was like, you know what? Because I did this, a lot of good
I don't think it was televised at all.
things are going to happen. I'm not so sure that that's true.
But yeah, Bill
I
already
agree
did
with you
it.
there. I also would just be very afraid to go to Saudi Arabia and do a comedy routine, like for your own personal safety. So
My
interesting
jokes
choice
would not
by him.
work.
Yeah, he did. He said he had to censor some of his routine, which is probably smart. And also interesting.
Wait, these people are stand-up comedians? She's like, my jokes would not work. But you just have a tight 5 minutes about the king of Saudi Arabia. That's what you have.
Yeah, he did. He said he had to censor some of his routine, which is probably smart. And also interesting that Saudi Arabia has a comedy festival right now. Interesting turn of events there. I used to listen to Bill Burr's podcast all the time. Do you know him?
No, I don't.
I used to listen to him all the time. I've seen him at a couple comedy shows. Very funny. Has COVID definitely impacted his humor though? He's taken some interesting turns. The reason that we wanted to
He's too much of a leftist. He's too pro-vaccine. That's what they mean by they impacted his comedy. Well, it didn't impact it enough for him to turn down the Saudi Arabia gig. Okay, don't need to watch the rest of that. Do we have anything else from old Billy Boy? I mean, I'm sure everyone has seen Bill Burr talking about, I think it was, who was it? Amy Schumer? Was it Amy Schumer? What was the Bill Burr hypocrisy? Saudi Arabia hypocrisy.
Mariah Carey actually did
Oh, it's a Mariah Carey.
private New Year's gigs for $1 million. Did New Year's gigs for Gaddafi's kids. Can you fucking believe that? How much fucking money do you need to make? You know, you're gonna take a gig where you're gonna go dance like a goddamn fucking clown for a mass murderer's kids. And then you take that fucking blood money. And what he's done, you couldn't remember that he claimed he was behind the Pan Am bombings that killed fellow Americans? The fuck is wrong with you?
The Royals loved the show. Everyone was happy. The people that were doing the festival were thrilled. And, it was just this great positive thing. And I got to tell you, just to be a part of that was amazing. And the comedians that I've been talking to just saying like, dude, you can feel it. They wanted it. So,
Okay. They wanted it. They wanted to laugh. I mean, yeah, Bill Burr is, like, he knows what's going on. He knows that Saudi Arabia is fucking using these comedians to whitewash him or to whitewash themselves. Weirdest one is Pete. I almost said Pete Hegseth. That would be good if they just got like a coked up alcoholic Pete Hegseth yapping at them about how if you can't have beards or long hair because it's unmanly. That'd be fucking good. Okay, so we covered Bill Burr. Yeah, so I actually don't even. What is the FUPA Fund website? Is that like that's an H3 meme, right? Let me know. So this is something that I also wanted to cover. So Zohar Mamdani went onto The View, and some of the highlights were being flipped out and talked about a lot, and kind of going viral.
You're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made inflammatory.
Who is this lady? The View cast. What's the current? Sarah Haynes? That's her. She's the host of the game show The Chase. Oh, damn. I like that. I like that game show. No, yeah, Bill Burr actually sounds like he was brainwashed there.
Statements like calling Israel an apartheid. So, Zoran, back in 2020, you called for.
This is the
Yes,
policing.
Assemblyman, you're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made inflammatory statements like calling Israel an apartheid state and questioning its right to exist as a Jewish state.
I love how it's like calling it an apartheid state and questioning its right to exist as a Jewish state. Well, it cannot be a Jewish state without necessarily being an apartheid state. It has to be an apartheid state for it to be a Jewish state. What are you talking about? How else would you have it be an ethno-state without enforcing some kind of racial legal discrimination? How do you're like, it's not an apartheid state, but also it should be an ethno-state. Square the circle for me, because you just sound like a racist piece of shit right now. So anyway, that's an inflammatory statement, saying something that is logically non-contradictory, and for it to not be an inflammatory statement, it has to be contradictory positions that you simultaneously hold. It can't be an apartheid state, but it also should be an ethno state. Like, dude, these Zionists just have nothing left. They're completely empty of any kind of real argument.
Yes, Assemblyman, you're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made.
She's got the hostage on. Well, I hope she's better at giving out trivia questions than she is at defending the ethno-state of Israel.
Yes, Assemblyman, you're running for mayor of New York and not prime minister of Israel, but you've made inflammatory statements like calling Israel an apartheid state and questioning its.
Every single human rights organization has called Israel an apartheid state, like Amnesty International. Like, Zoran has quoted human rights organizations in calling Israel an apartheid state. And also, he's against ethno-states. Oh my God, he's not a white supremacist, racist piece of shit. How inflammatory. Oh, you're not racist in 2025? Oh, like you're just trying to be controversial just to get attention and clicks. Wow, I can't believe you'd hold a position like that.
Right to exist as a Jewish state. Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas. Given New York has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, why should voters who see this as...
Oh, that's hilarious at Whimsical Wanderers. Well, yeah, let me know if you need any, like, I don't know, maybe I can, like, draw a picture of withering away Ethan Klein for your kind of fundraiser. That'd be fun. That'd be fun to do.
a moral red line? Trust your clarity and judgment.
Well, I really appreciate this question and an opportunity to just clear up, I think, a number of misconceptions. First and foremost, you're right. I am running to be the...
Zoran is on another level of being cordial with hostile interviewers, because I would have lost my shit by now. I would have been like, what are you talking about? Human rights organizations call Israel an apartheid state. You can't have an ethno-state without it being an apartheid state. I'm in favor of equal rights for everyone, not the legal discrimination of non-Jewish people in Israel. That is a problem. I don't believe in ethno-states. If you believe in ethno-states, that sounds like an inflammatory statement to me. I'm running for the mayor of New York. I don't want to discriminate off of racial lines. I want to govern New York the same way that I view Israel, where everyone should have equal rights. I would not be as cordial and as pleasant and have the ability to redirect it back to organizing and running New York the same level of composure that Zoran uses in his answer here. I would have flipped a lid on this chick.
Red line, trust your clarity and judgment.
Well, I really appreciate this question and an opportunity to just clear up, I think, a number of misconceptions. First and foremost, you're right. I am running to be the mayor of the city, and this city will be the focus of my administration, ensuring that we make this a city everyone can afford and everyone knows that they belong to. And also, millions of New Yorkers, myself included, care deeply about what's happening in Israel and Palestine. And so to be very, very clear, of course I condemn Hamas. Of course I've called October 7th what it was, which is a horrific war crime. And of course, my belief in a universality in international law is also the same set of beliefs that have led me to describe what's happening in Gaza as a genocide. Because what we see...
It's so good. It's so good. Something that was humorous is an Ethan Klein fan took this response from Zoran. They quoted him. They wrote out the quote there where it's October 7th was horrible. I condemn Hamas. But the principles I hold that make me value all human life are the same principles that lead me to call what's happening in Gaza a genocide. And they're sound familiar? This is also what Ethan Klein says, right? Well, they're missing Zoran's second half of his statement where he's yes, but also Israel is an ethno-state that is using apartheid to maintain its ethno-state status, and that's a bad thing. Whereas Ethan would look at that and say, Israel's an ethno-state that is using apartheid to maintain its ethno-state status, and that's a good thing. That's a big difference between Zoran's politics on Israel and Ethan's politics on Israel. Not to mention that Zoran actually focuses and centers Palestinian voices when he's talking about Israel's genocide, whereas Ethan only centers the oppressors' voices and talks about the negative repercussions that they are experiencing because of the genocide. And instead of being Jewish people and Israelis are experiencing negative repercussions because of their actions, he blames everyone else other than Israel for their actions. It's Hamas's fault. It's all due to October 7th. It's Hasan for criticizing Israel too much. He agrees with ContraPoints where it's you posted charred bodies of Palestinian children, but that could potentially lead to anti-Semitism. That's Ethan's position on this shit. He only cares about the perpetrators of the genocide, and he blames everyone but them for the harm that they're experiencing. And not even the perpetrators of the genocide, innocent people that are getting caught up in it, like Jews in America that are being targeted and are experiencing increased anti-Semitism. That's also a negative consequence. I think another negative consequence of the genocide is the general rise in Nazism. Jews aren't the only victims of Nazism in America. Leftists and basically everyone that isn't a far-right conservative Nazi are also suffering as a result of the rise of Nazism. There's a lot of victims of the increased hatred towards there's a lot of negative shit that's coming out from the genocide that isn't just Palestinians dying. But obviously Palestinians dying is the most important thing, and that's the one thing Ethan won't focus on. So Like that just triggered me when I saw someone using a quote that Zoran made to say that Ethan is the same as Zoran Mamdani on the issue of Israel and Palestine. It's like, bro, Ethan's in favor of a Jewish ethno-state. Like, he's a racist piece of shit. What are you talking about? How is this similar at all?
What we see is a war crime.
Like, look, do you think Ethan, when faced with the question of, you've held some radical positions, you said that Israel is an ethno-state, or shouldn't be an ethno-state, but it's also an apartheid state. Those are radical positions that are triggering to people. Do you think that Ethan would respond to that, and by the end of his response say that, well, I care about treating everyone equally, and that's why I've come to consider what's happening in Gaza a genocide? He wouldn't say shit like that because he doesn't care about what's happening in Gaza. It's not in his mind at all, and so he doesn't bring it up when he's talking about Israel.
Being answered with war crimes. And what we see is every single hour the Israeli military killing a Palestinian child for close to 2 years. And it's a horror that many New Yorkers feel so deeply. And my job, I can't stop that as the mayor of the city. I can make clear my own values, my own commitments. And it is a value and a commitment to humanity, to safety, to justice for all people that extends to everyone, Israelis, Palestinians, and everyone else across the world.
And recognizing that people do disagree with you.
Absolutely.
I am one of those people on some of these.
I'm one of those people. Oh my god. Okay, Whimsical Wanderer. I did make a pretty funny picture. I'm kind of happy of it. Profile. Posts. Where's my post? Posts. This one's funny. This is a drawing I did. So if you want to use that, go for it. It's on my Twitter. So anyway, yeah, this what's her name again? Where's the Viewcast? Sarah Haynes. She's the host of The Chase, which is a trivia show. Well, hopefully they never bring up the topic of Israel and Palestine because she might go off road when actually discussing the correct answer there.
Absolutely, and that you're disagreeing with me doesn't mean that you shouldn't be in this city or you shouldn't be celebrated and part of the city that I'm trying to lead. And I think that's the other part of growing up as a New Yorker, learning that disagreement and difference is part of what it means to be here. And I want to be a mayor, not just for the people who voted for me, not just for the people who agree with me, but every New Yorker. And that means that if a New Yorker disagrees with me about Israel, I'm still fighting for them to make sure that they can afford this city, be safe in this city, and see the city as their home.
Well,
I know, I need to make it so that I don't automatically open up on my fucking DMs on Twitter. It's so stupid. I like go to Twitter and I guess my DMs are bookmarked and so everyone can see them. But yeah, if you want that image, I don't know, maybe you can download it from my Twitter. Otherwise, I could email it to you if you shoot me a message or something. I do want to draw more. I do want to draw more during stream. I'll try to work on that more.
So one of the things that I've heard you talk about is making the city affordable for everybody, and that you're gonna, put a tax on people who make over $1 million or whatever. But what I want to know
with an exception for Joy.
Think again, my friend. But listen, on day one, why aren't you going to big corporations like Amazon and Google and making sure that they pay what could really help the city raise up and get us where we need to do? Because I need to hear somebody say, because it's the thing nobody says. They say, oh, we're going to make people pay, but they're not clear. They came in, they said, we're going to make these jobs, people are going to have these, they're going to have work, but then they had to fight to unionize because they're not getting paid enough.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand why the focus, if the focus is for New Yorkers to be lifted, and New York State to be lifted and put in the right perspective, why the focus isn't on the companies that could be doing a lot more for the places have their places, but it doesn't happen.
Instead of the individual? or including the individual tax
corporate?
base? You mean corporations should...
As I said, Amazon
Right.
and Google,
Right.
corporations who don't seem to.
I mean, yeah, Zoran's going to increase the taxes on this. Like, this is kind of a silly question. Like, he's already said he wants to increase the top marginal tax rate for New York to make it equal to what New Jersey has. And he's talked about like what he wants to do with the money to make the price of living better for everyone, bring down the affordability in New York. So like it's fine. It's just like a prompt for him to talk about his policies, but the question, like the merit of the question, doesn't really have any. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like Zoran has definitely softened his language, and on one hand, I understand the inclination that he has to soften his language on things, such as like no longer really defending the phrase globalize the intifada, or saying like, oh yeah, I want to discourage people from using it. But he's kind of like, even though he hasn't necessarily distanced himself from that at all, well, he said that it's a bad thing to say, he definitely has like distanced himself from it. So there's that. And you see in a lot of his language too, where he's like, oh yeah, like, don't worry, Hamas was bad, October 7th was bad. And you don't really get that same kind of vigor when it comes to him condemning what Israel's doing. You just have like tepid, gentle pushback of like, oh, well, Israel's like an ethno-state. And he doesn't really talk about what Israel's doing in the same kind of vein as what happened on October 7th. And obviously that's going to depend on the type of company that he's talking with and the interviewers, but I don't think you really gain anything from doing what he's doing other than having some more kind of comfortable interviews, because I think a big reason why he got as popular as he did was because people were talking about it, and it turns out that the Democratic voters really don't like what Israel's doing in Gaza right now. And so when you have a candidate who is separating himself from the pack by being outspoken against Israel, I think that gets him fame, and it also gets him a lot of votes because people are going to be talking about him, and then his name gets out there, and then a lot of Democratic voters like what he has to say on Israel. So like he hasn't actually like, he's against the ethno-state of Israel. He's calling Gaza genocide. He always has to do the song and dance of I condemn Hamas, I condemn October 7th. But I think that the strategy of like ignoring Israel and Palestine and trying to like brush it under the rug a little bit when it gets brought up to you, I can see why he wants to do it, but I don't think it really is that big of a deal if he does talk about it. And I think that's kind of his superpower, that has a morally clear position on Israel and Palestine, and so he can talk about this type of thing without being like, Israel has a right to defend itself, and just trotting out the same old tired line that the Democratic voters have kind of been inoculated to and smell that as bullshit.
To pay the same kinds of taxes everyone else pays.
Look, if you were running for mayor, I'd be voting for you, because I think, Whoopi, to your point, the corporate greed that we're seeing in this country, it cannot be separated from the level of inequality that people are living through. And one of the key revenue proposals I've put forward, our agenda from the day we started was about freezing the rent for more than 2 million tenants, making the slowest buses in the country fast and free, delivering universal childcare. So no longer would a family pay $25,000 a year just to find childcare for one kid. And what we've said is that two of the main ways we'd pay for it, one of them would be to raise the top corporate tax rate. This is a corporate tax rate that applies to the most profitable companies that do business in the state, like the ones that you've named, to that of New Jersey. So it would just match that of our neighbor, 11.5% that they have over there. By matching our neighbor, we would raise $5 billion a year. And that would be money we could reinvest into working and middle-class New Yorkers' lives so that everyone could afford it.
So you don't think that would drive them out of the city then?
No, so the nature of our tax law is that applies to any business doing business here. They could be headquartered in Miami, but if they're doing business here, it applies to them. And the reason that I believe they'll keep doing business here is because this is one of the largest economies in the world. Everyone wants to be here.
And And when you talk about, because people think everybody that makes money does not care about the city. And sometimes I think it's important for folks when you're talking about raising taxes also.
Bro, my mom watches this show. I'd actually love to get her opinion on Zohran Mamdani on The View.
So on people, because the people who have money keep the city going.
Yeah.
And sometimes people feel pushed out of the city because the zillions that they're paying, whether it's for the MTA, for the bus, for the this, for the, doesn't seem to be appreciated. So I just want to make sure that you understand people want to make the city work. And people will back you if everybody is paying their fair share.
Absolutely.
If everybody pays, then I don't mind paying. If just some folks are paying,
Also, not only their fair share, but they want to know that their money is going back into their community and not going off overseas or just like ending up in the pockets of some fat rich guy. Oh, Ghost Bear, one of your tweets got focused on by Ethan. So funny. He addresses policing in New York City. Okay, well, we can skip it there. Zohran. Why he thinks members of his own party have been
even members of your own party, like Leader Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, both New Yorkers, have been reluctant to endorse you. Kamala Harris gave what I would call sort of a tepid endorsement. Why do you think members of your own party have been hesitant to embrace you at this juncture?
The governor of New York, though, endorsed you.
She did. And what I would say is that Donald Trump is going through the stages of grief. First, it was denial. And he was trying to do everything he could. He was looking at polling. He was calling Cuomo. He was publicly speaking about how he wanted to narrow this race. And he's gotten his first wish. He's gotten Eric Adams out of this race. But now he's going through acceptance. And what I've been really excited by is the endorsements, like you said, Sonny, from not only Governor Hochul, not only from Majority Leader of the State Senate Andrea Stewart Cousins, Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie, Attorney General Tish James that we were just speaking about, but also the fact that I wouldn't be sitting here with you if it was endorsements that made all of the difference. It was the people of the city.
But Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are trying to win the midterms, win back the House and the Senate for Democrats. So why specifically do you think they're hesitant to endorse you?
You know, I can't speak to their thoughts and their interest in this. What I can tell you, however, is that what we have built in this city is also an indication of what politics can be.
He's just so good, man.
You know, often,
like I would not be able to always turn him back to the campaign and the people that supported you that actually are important. I'd be like, well, yeah, like I'm a socialist. I want to increase taxes on the rich, and I'm anti-Zionist. Both of these guys are supported by AIPAC. Like I'd actually lay it out there. But Zohran is just always on. He's always on. He's always on. It's kind of scary how like perfectly molded he is for this position as running for the mayor of New York. He's got muted.
Young people were leaving the Democratic Party. They were getting disinterested in politics. And we built a campaign where we said, what if we treated them with respect and not condescension? What if we asked them what they needed in the city? We made the top 3 highest performing age groups all under the age of 35. That's something that we haven't seen in the city before. That needs to be at the heart of our politics across the country. Thank you.
Okay, and then just a little bit more on Zohran. So Eric Adams dropped out. You have a few more polls here, but you have some like conflicting information. So first off, we have this article by the Jewish News Syndicate, I think it is. The JNS. What does it stand for again? Yeah, Jewish News Syndicate. So this was posted on September 11th. So they say that Zohran has a 22-point lead among likely voters in the 4-way New York City mayor race, even as 3/4 of Jews disapproved of the Democratic nominee and self-identified socialists. Quinnipiac University poll of likely New York City voters gave Mamdani 45%, followed by former state governor Andrew Cuomo, Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa, and New York City mayor Eric Adams. In addition, 91% of Mamdani supporters said they were enthusiastic, compared with 79% of Sliwa, 75% of Cuomo, and 75% of Adams' campaign. Adams led among Jewish voters with 42%, double Mamdani's 21%. Cuomo was third with 20%. So like the whole message throughout this campaign is New York Jews are scared to vote for Zohar Mamdani because of what he says about Israel. You don't support Israel and defend it against all criticisms. You dare to say that Israel is an ethno-state and that it's doing war crimes in Gaza and it's doing ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, then you actually just want to like pogrom Jewish New Yorkers. That's what you want to do. And so you see here, this Quinnipiac poll says that Mamdani has 21% and he's half as popular with Jewish voters as Eric Adams is with 42%. Then you can also take a look at some other polls where it turns out that Mamdani actually was shown to have the complete opposite. So this was posted in August, so a few months ago. Indeed, two recent polls show Mamdani well ahead with Jewish voters. The first, a July Zenith research poll, shows Mamdani with a 17-point lead with New York Jewish voters with 43% of the total. So a poll from July is saying that Mamdani actually had 43%. And Andrew Cuomo had 26 and Mayor Eric Adams had 15. So I don't know, a bit of a weird poll here. It's literally flipped. Zohar Mamdani in this poll is polling at 43% of the Jewish vote, where Mayor Eric Adams has 15%, and according to the Jewish News Syndicate, is the exact opposite. Another thing is that a second poll, also from July by GQR Research, which was commissioned by an anti-Mamdani pro-Israel organization, New York Solidarity Network, found Mamdani leading with Jewish New Yorkers by 12 percentage points. 37% for Mamdani, 25% for Adams, 21% for Cuomo. So here, once again, you have Mamdani in the lead with Jewish voters. So I don't know, like every poll that I'm finding, other than this one by Quinnipiac College, which was done in September, all of the polls other than this one show that Mamdani is actually in the lead with Jewish voters, as well as in the lead and like more likely to win just the general election. This was updated yesterday. New York City mayoral election 2025 latest polls. These are the latest polls of the New York City mayoral election, which, unlike the primary, does not use ranked choice voting. Use the drop down below to see polls about hypothetical matchups in the race. Polls from select pollsters meet certain criteria for reliability and are shown with a diamond. So the ones with the diamond are the most reliable. Mamdani's winning by 18 points, 20 points, 15, 21, 22, 15, 21. Like, yeah, Mamdani's looking pretty good here. And even if you add Eric Adams to Andrew Cuomo, because Eric Adams recently dropped out, even if you add all of his votes to Andrew Cuomo, which is not a guarantee, a lot of Eric Adams supporters are going to not vote, and a lot of them are going to go to Mamdani and vote for Mamdani. So even if you add Eric Adams supporters, and they'll also go to Sliwa, like they're going to have a three-way split. It's not going to be a clean jump to Andrew Cuomo. Even if you add all of his votes to Andrew Cuomo, he still loses to Mamdani. Like, yeah, the votes that Adams has does not make up the difference between Mamdani and Cuomo's votes. Let's take a look at this. Let's see, what's the most recent poll here? Beacon Research. Take a look at this poll. Just give him the mayor's office already. I mean, it's like, it's so close, right? It's so close that I just want it to happen, but you can never count your chickens before they hatch. So, New York City voters across all demographic groups are dissatisfied with the direction of the city and are looking for significant change. That sentiment has propelled Democratic Zohar Mamdani to the lead in the mayoral race. A new Fox News survey of New York City registered voters finds Mamdani leading the race by 18 points with 45% support. Okay. Analysis below focuses on preferences and opinions among registered voters. Cuomo receives strong support from Jewish voters, 40%. White voters age 45 plus. Okay, so Let's just look up. Let's see. Wants to receive strong support from Jewish voters. So here, once again, like this is across the board. So we have this poll from September 10th by the Quinnipiac University that says Adams has 45% support among Jewish voters. Then you have this poll from yesterday that says Adams has 12% support among Jewish voters, whereas Mamdani has 27%. And Cuomo is actually doing the best with Jewish. Hey, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Suffolk University. Poll. Are you a resident of New York? Considers yourself blah blah blah. Wait, this is just a survey. Zohran Mamdani, Independent Eric. Currently, there are 7 candidates for mayor of New York City representing 9 political parties / designations. I'm going to read you the 7 candidates and their affiliated parties or political designations certified for the official ballot. Here we go. Read as listed. At this point, who are you planning to vote for or lean toward? Zohran Mamdani, Democratic Party and Working Families Party, 45%. Curtis Sliwa, 43.8%. Irene Estrada, Conservative Party. Independent Eric Adams, Safe and Affordable and Anti-Semitism, 8.2%. That's his fucking political designation and anti-Semitism. That's how he's self-describing on polls. I'm going to end anti-Semitism. Really just trying to position himself to be like the anti-Zohran candidate then, right? Who would be your second choice? So second choice for Zohran is 7%. So that means across Cuomo, Adams, and Sliwa, he's getting almost 8% of the votes. It's just... Okay, so they don't have a Jewish demographic vote there. Let's take a look at one more poll and then we can give it up. Marist College. I'm done. Let's just look up. Okay, so they don't have it broken down and talking about Jewish voters here either. But anyway, yeah. So it's looking pretty good for Zohran, and needless to say, none of these polls indicate that Zohran's doing badly with, which I think is an indicator that these people that are trying to malign Zohran as some kind of anti-Semite that's scaring the Jewish population of New York are full of shit. Here, let's close some tabs. That's always a good feeling. I don't want to search. What is Ethan Kleinman? He's been going off on Hasan, right? While I'm on Instagram. Oh, this is funny. This is actually quite funny. So look at this. Look at this inception level of internet discourse here. So you have Keela making an Instagram post, and she captions it. Sorry, I can't zoom in. I would if I could. Never be afraid. Never be afraid to be yourself. Be loud and be proud and loud. And then someone on the leftover subreddit types out, it sure is a mystery why people think the Kleins are Zionists. Ethan's wife's pro-Israel tattoo begs the question. And then you have r/anti-Semitism in Reddit. And you have some guy say, Nazi subreddit r/leftovers. Right, that's a funny thing to say, right? Nazi subreddit. Attacks Jewish Israeli American podcaster for getting a Jewish tattoo. Then they say, holding Jews responsible for Israel's actions is the tag there. What do they say? Popular YouTube podcasters Ethan and Ela Klein have been under fire from far left and far right Nazis. All of the Nazis on the far left we have Nazis in power, and they're declaring war on the far left. You can't say far left Nazis. Okay, like these people have no kind of political literacy whatsoever. Since October 7th, and Reddit has allowed numerous subreddits to grow and fester with posts like this, reaching high upvote count and zero repercussions. Given what we know about Reddit admins, I'm sure they love it, but it's crazy how mask off these people are getting. So once again, the subreddit actually did a pretty good job of going through how Israel has been using the Star of David to brand Palestinians and the land of Palestine itself, with bulldozers and tanks engraving the Star of David into the very earth of Gaza and the West Bank. So, Hila getting a blue Star of David tattoo is really fucking tone deaf when we're talking about Israel using it as a symbol of their genocide. I'm sorry, man. Like, them's the facts. You can say, how is Ethan making this argument while he's saying that Hasan's sword from the anime Bleach is a white supremacist Nazi dog whistle because it has like the swastika, which is a holy symbol in Japan, and he's like, oh well, like that's tone deaf because people are being anti-Semitic right now. Well, what the fuck do you think this is, bro? What do you, a blue Star of David while it's being used as a symbol of genocide, and you get it to be loud and proud? I mean, it seems like you're pretty fucking proud about the genocide that's going on. Let's never forget that Hila also posted images of Israeli fighter pilots who were going to bomb Iran illegally and killing civilians there, and is like, these women are so brave. I'm so proud to be an Israeli where women get to do war crimes too. You're trying to say you're not pro IDF? Okay, and then we have some well-earned recognition for the snarkers from Ethan Klein. Like, why is he pretending like it's not one of his fans posting this in r/anti-Semitism in Reddit? So anyway, he's pretty happy there. It's good to see Ethan happy. He needs that serotonin hit every now and then. This is his Instagram? Wait, no, sorry, that's not his Instagram. Oh yeah, I guess this is an apt image of what I just said. It's his fan. He's patting himself on the back, right? Okay, so then Ethan writes this. I love how he just like tries to be some kind of historian while just quoting a story from the Bible. King David was said to have a 6-pointed star on his shield. Since then, it has become a ubiquitous symbol for Jewish identity. King David lived 3,000 years ago, long before the modern state of Israel. Hila proudly displaying a Star of David is no different than a Christian wearing a cross or a Muslim wearing a crescent moon. The fact that I even need to explain this is evidence of the cruel bigotry that is common and accepted by this crowd. So, yeah. If your religious symbols are being used to spread hate, then you holding up religious symbols, specifically religious symbols that have been like individualized, like the Coptic cross that Pete Hegseth has on his chest, or like a blue Star of David, where these are specific fucking symbols for their genocide or for their kind of oppression and bigotry, then yeah, you're celebrating that bigotry. You're adopting the bigotry. So anyway, I love this history lesson for me. Then we have this. Oh yeah, this is actually like quite sad, right? 2 dead in Manchester synagogue attack with suspect also believed to have been killed. Police. Like clear anti-Semitism. Jewish people suffering as a result of anti-Semitism. And what does Ethan say? Today is Yom Kippur, the most important holiday for Jews. The synagogue would have been full of families and children of all ages. Am I still hallucinating anti-Semitism? It's like, dude, you don't cover shit like this on your podcast. How many Nazi rallies have been happening in America? There's an entire rise of Nazis on the right that are just straight up being like, oh yeah, the Jews control the world, the Jews killed Charlie Kirk, we're fighting a battle for our race against Jewish people, bringing in migrants of different of brown skin colors to replace white people. That's been festering on the right, and you've said nothing about it. The type of anti-Semitism you're going after is a hallucination because you think Hasan criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic. And Sam Cedar said it best when that was quoted in that Amon Animations video, where he's like, this conflation between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism is actually dangerous. That's way more dangerous than Hasan saying Zionists can't be a dog catcher in your local town. That's way more dangerous. The idea of you saying that Hasan's anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, that is a hallucination. This type of shit is real, but you don't cover it because you are trying to appeal to a anti-Hasan snark audience, and covering Nazi shit isn't the type of audience you've built up anymore. In fact, you covering Nazis, true Nazis, not just calling Hasan or Denims a Nazi, you covering Nazis, the audience that would be into watching you do that are the exact people that you have thrown away from yourself over the course of the last year by criticizing Hasan. Because Hasan actually covers Nazis, and he has an audience for that. That's not the same audience that watches you. All right, next. Man, this guy's crashing out. Ethan Klein. Oh, shit. Oh, what happened? God, Instagram fucking sucks, the autoplay. I can't explain it, but the alt-right pipeline started with this era. Ethan Klein was literally always a white supremacist. No idea why it took a decade for everybody to notice. Look at the flag, look at the flag.
Transgender for everybody.
So good. Transgender for everybody. Ethan Klein was literally always, so he's posting this, okay? Like, you are, yeah, you're like a white supremacist that advocates for the state of Israel to be a Jews only state. Like, that's pretty white supremacist. You're just posting bangers against you right now. You're posting your L's. Just a Star of David. Once again, man, just the Star of David, okay? Just don't engage with the argument at all. Ethan spoke about Ashkenazi eugenics with 10,000 years of reading Torah. Well, he simultaneously says that Ashkenazi Jews bred themselves to be intellectually superior to other people, but also they inbred because the only people that would have sex with Ashkenazi Jews are other Ashkenazi Jews. Like, don't get me started on his whole idea of historicism when we're talking about really anything, but specifically Jewish people, because the man is confused. So what the fuck is this? OMG, Moses, thank you for making Palestinian food, especially at a time like this. Free Palestine. So it's someone who's watching Moses. And who is this guy? Is this guy Gila's husband? No, is this guy Gila's... Yeah, it's Gila's husband. Is this guy Gila Klein's brother? Is that what I'm getting from this? So it's someone that, like, he's cooking, and the person says, thank you for making Palestinian food, free Palestine. And Ethan gets triggered and writes a, like, 50-word paragraph going on a rant about this one chick in the comment section of Moses Klein, or whatever the fuck, cooking? He's cooking, and someone said, thank you for making Palestinian food, and that was too far for Ethan. Moses is cooking his mother's recipe. How does he know this? Just right off the bat, how the fuck do you know? Oh, okay, fuck it. What's his name? Moses Paytas? Is that it? Wait, what is Paytas Hackman? Cooking. This was a month ago. Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? 3 hours ago. Kind of. So beautiful, Steakgate. He thinks Israeli society is equitable and just to Palestinians because he had to listen to prayer calls in Tel Aviv. Well, he ate at a cafe next to a Palestinian. Or next to someone that he thinks was a Palestinian. Where's the fucking cooking video? I just want to see the cooking video. Cooking dinner for my husband. He took her last name. Need that Moses recipe? Okay, I guess I don't give a fuck. But he's cooking. I can't get over how weird this is. A guy just records himself cooking, throws it up online. And then a commenter is like, thank you for making Palestinian food, especially at a time like this, free Palestine. So, if he's making Palestinian food, that doesn't necessarily mean that the food is only Palestinian, right? There can be food that is Palestinian food, but it also could be Lebanese food or Iranian food. Like, food can travel throughout the region there, right? Like, B, even if it's not Palestinian food, if this person in the comment section mistook it to be Palestinian food, who gives a fuck? It's a nice sentiment that they wrote in the comment section. Why are we jumping down the throats of Moses and like putting this person on blast on your Instagram story? Who cares? It's just like a nice little thing. What if they're a little bit misguided or confused, or they mistook what he's cooking for a different dish? They still identified, like maybe they're Palestinian, right? They identified with the meal and they're like, thank you for doing that. That like made my day. That made me a little bit happier today. Who cares? It's a nice sentiment that they posted. But what does Ethan have to say here? Moses is cooking his mother's recipe that originates from Libya. What a fucking nerd, right off the bat. Oh, he's cooking this recipe that originated from Libya. Wow, you thought as Palestinian, it's actually Libyan. Checkmate, liberal. You're a fucking nerd, dude. Go play with your children. I know, because I've eaten it dozens of times. The fact that he liked this comment is just proof that he knows. Oh, it's because he liked the comment. And he knows that he's cynically accepting praise on a false premise. Bro, what is going on with this man? He's like, my brother-in-law clicked like on a comment, and that means that he's accepting praise on a false premise knowingly, and he's actually just some kind of charlatan that's cynically using the issue of Palestine in order to gain pity points. He made a cooking video and he liked to comment. Dude, you are actually just, when we're talking about hallucinations, this is what we're talking about, Ethan. Like, stop toilet posting and just chill the fuck out. Like, I don't know, man. Stop taking Zins. Maybe you should start smoking more weed. What the hell is going on with you? Moses is cooking his mother's recipe that originates from Libya. I know because I've eaten it dozens of times. The fact that he liked this comment is just proof that he knows he's cynically accepting praise on a false premise. Moses and Trisha are without a doubt fully blown Zionists. Ethan, that sounds a little anti-Semitic of you. The way that people accept Moses and Trisha but reject me and Gila is proof of the shallowness of this movement and how it's not about caring about Palestinians that activate these people, but desire to exploit their suffering as a cudgel against their enemies. Generalizing to these online snark activists, obviously there are many sincere pro-Palestinian activists. Holy shit, dude. It was a fucking comment on your brother-in-law's video. Moses apologized for the service and openly states he doesn't support his. I don't know anything about these people, but what I do know is that they haven't gone to fucking war against pro-Palestinian activists and have sued them. They haven't sued pro-Palestinian activists for trying to correct the racist misinformation bullshit in a million-viewed video that Ethan Klein put out. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Sure, the guy fucking dressed up as, like, I don't know, his wife dressed up as an IDF agent 5 years ago. That's shitty. But you know what they haven't done? They haven't spent the last year of their time spreading misinformation about Israel. in order to make pro-Palestinian activists look bad and try to get them arrested and deplatformed by saying that they're Nazis and anti-Semitic. That's what you've done. And what do you mean? What do you mean that we're just using the suffering of Palestinians as a cudgel against you, our enemies? I'm not even going to say the word enemy, but you are being criticized because you are doing propaganda that perpetuates the struggle, the suffering of Palestinians. That's what you do. You do pro-Israel propaganda. That's why you've been targeted. Dude, like take a moment and step back and think, why are you the enemy? You say you say that it started because people were saying that you're like calling Sam Cedar a capo, and people were calling you a Zionist when you were talking to Hasan like 2 years ago now. You say that's why it started. Well, why were people doing that in the first place? They were doing that because you were saying Zionist bullshit. People are criticizing you because of the things you say. Why don't you take account for that instead of crying and saying that all of the criticism is just performative because they hate you? They hate you. They hate you because you're not taking account for what you say. Like you're being criticized for valid reasons. Oh my God. Okay, we already covered this. Like you lived in Israel. What are we doing? You said while a genocide was going on how beautiful Israel was. Now you're gonna post like your sister-in-law with an Israeli flag and say that's bad. Your wife literally has that fucking tattooed on her arm while there was a genocide going. What are we doing? Oh my God, Ethan! I thought that the Star of David was a Jewish symbol that's been around for 3,000 years because of King David. Now that's bad all of a sudden. Your wife got that engraved onto her flesh, bro. What are we doing, man? You can't make the argument. You can't make the argument in the next fucking post. 2 hours later, you post this and you're like, it's anti-Semitic to call out Hila for getting like the Star of David tattooed on her wrist. And then in the next page, you're like, look at this. Trisha Paytas is a piece of shit because she's posing with the Star of David. It's a blue Star of David in both of the. It's 2 hours later. It's 2 hours later, but. Gotta say, Trisha Paytas wears it better than Hila. Hot take. I do think it's funny that Amon Animations has come out. How many views does that have? Legend of Ethan Klein. 257,000 views in 2 days. This video comes out. Ethan reacts to a video that gets like 12,000 views to him. The Mika's Rhetoric video, and he spends 4 fucking hours going over that. But a video that comes out that's 15 minutes long, that's full of out of context clips that Ethan can correct the record by going over. Just radio silence on that. Complete radio silence on that. But what do we get him talking about? Just having a fucking hate-gasm about his brother and sister-in-law.
Bomb specialist over there. He's from the Middle East. He used to detect bombs in his sleep when he was in the military. He'd be in Lebanon. He'd be like, bomb, 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 and he'd deactivate him.
Whoa.
That's
now
what he
you're
did.
no, you don't want to see. Now you've.
Oh, now they're. Oh my God! Should I cut it?
Now you're in trouble. Now
Dave is good.
Trisha Paytas is who Ethan Klein thinks he is. Like a kind of know-nothing comedic personality that can get away with making stupid offensive jokes because they have the defense of, well, I didn't know any better. That's what Ethan Klein wishes that he was. But I mean, when she got called out on supporting Israel, just stopped doing it. And Ethan dug his heels in the ground and made that his entire life goal to defend Israel and attack the people that are advocates of Palestine. You can't claim that you know Jewish history, but also be like, well, I'm just a dumb little comedian. I don't understand that when I say I want to go to Israel to show my millions of subscribers how awesome Israel is during the midst of a genocide that they're perpetrating. That was just like a small little mistake, and I apologized for it 3 months later in the most tepid way imaginable. God. Like, you just had to shut the fuck up about it. You just had to shut the fuck up about it. And you can't. You cannot resist. Oh, this is funny. What is this? Hasan on February 27th discouraging people from voting for the Dems in midterms, claiming they just want to take donations and don't actually want to do anything. I'm not even going to play this. Like, that's obviously true. That doesn't mean you shouldn't vote for them, but still. Funny. All right, what are we listening to next? She's historically an idiot, not trying to be a political commentator like Keith. I mean, Trisha Paytas clearly dress up in IDF uniforms because that's what her husband did, right? Her husband was in the IDF. She doesn't give a fuck about Israel. Like, sure, she said some stupid shit, but she hasn't doubled down on defending the ethno-state of Israel. Okay, getting triggered. This is 48 minutes long. Let's see how long we can get through this.
Donnie fan.
But I think it's going to be pretty funny.
Or not, but you are a big fan of Mondani?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are. Okay. So he wants to provide $65 million for gender-affirming care.
I mean, Tommy, I think everyone should get health care. So yes, I think trans people should get health care as well.
I hope that you guys stick with that, and I hope that Mondani is your poster child, and I hope that you run on it. I'm not going to give you any feedback because I, too, hope that that is the direction that you go.
If you review his policy proposals, you'll see this is not some, like, dyed-in-the-wool ideologue.
Best of luck with the Democrat socialist endeavor in America.
Oh my god. I kind of wanted to skip this intro because I'm afraid that it might be copyright music, but it's too cool to skip. Like, we have to go through it.
Luck with the Democrat socialist endeavor in America.
Or is it Nashville? Is she in the, like, Main Street Nashville? She's standing outside of a bar for the title sequence that says Tommy Lauren is fearless. And it's just her, like, smiling outside of a bar at night. Oh, look at this guy. He's got the yellow hostages pin. I've never really understood that. Like, if you have the yellow hostages pin, shouldn't you be in favor of, like, protesting Israel? Like, Israel is the main hurdle in getting the hostages back, right? Like, the 10 that are left. Like, the Israelis within Israel are protesting Netanyahu's government for not making a hostage deal.
I know fascism is a heavy term.
Sure it is.
But I'll say it. We have a fascist in the White House.
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
No one has ever been more dangerous to
Tim Walz.
This country than Donald Trump.
Okay, like, what is this? Just the Democrats' greatest hits compilation? And once again, this is going to be the Democrats, like, displaying the most amount of balls. Everything after this is just pussy shit. They're calling Donald Trump a fascist. I think he's lived up to that moniker. He's lived up to the title that has been bestowed upon him by the Democrats. Thank you. Thank you for laying the groundwork for this interview.
And he is a fascist to his core.
And it continues. The assassination attempts on President Trump weren't enough. The public execution of Charlie Kirk wasn't enough. The 1,000%
What?
President Trump weren't enough. And it continues. The assassination attempts on President Trump weren't enough. The public
assassination attempts.
Execution of Charlie Kirk wasn't enough. The 1,000% uptick in assault on our federal agents, still not enough. The leftists, the libs, and yes, mainstream elected Democrats who desperately want to be president, all singing off the same sheet of music. And they won't stop because, frankly, I don't think they care what the ramifications are.
Singing off the same sheet of music? That's your idiom that you're using here?
Fascist this, Nazi that, Timu Hitler, Putin's hoe, we've heard it all. Did these
Putin's hoe? That's not the same thing. You can't, what do you mean? Dude, a violent rhetoric, like, first of all, calling Donald Trump a fascist is not violent rhetoric. Like, violent rhetoric, what does that even mean? Are you calling for violence or not? Violent rhetoric is a term made up by conservatives to just be like, oh yeah, if you are in favor of trans people having equal rights as everyone else, then you're essentially a terrorist. That's what violent rhetoric means. Like, violent rhetoric, are we talking about turns of phrases like the carrot or the stick, like what Ethan Klein was shaking in his boots about when Mike from PA is like, yeah, we gotta use the stick more than the carrot. I think you gotta like beat him with a stick until he's bloody. And Ethan's like, he's calling for violence against me. Like, he doesn't understand what a metaphor is anymore. Calling Donald Trump a fascist, a Nazi, and Hitler is one thing, but saying that he's Putin's hoe, that's not the same thing at all. That just means he's Putin's lackey, and he'll do whatever Putin wants him to do. Also, why does she have a bunch of pretzels in a cage behind her? What is this set? This set is ugly as hell. You have like rough barnwood exterior with these like middle school girl curtains with the bisexual lighting behind them. What the fuck is this? Also, this mug is ugly as sin, man. Like, I can go on and on about how bad this set is, but it's ugly.
Leftists even know the definitions of the slanderous and disgusting labels they throw on us? If you believe in school choice, a secure border, energy independence, or God forbid, traditional values, you're basically a Mussolini cosplayer, right? That's how far off the rails this has gone. Wait, you think parents should have a say in their kids' education? You monster. If you come into this country illegally, you're subject to deportation, the horror. No, it's the law. Let's be clear. Real fascism, actual textbook, boots on the ground fascism, is not just...
Oh, so this is just a soliloquy that she's doing? No, it's not. Like, that's not the law. That's the idea that the types of deportation we're seeing now is just ingrained and it's set in stone, the type of law that we're trying to do. That's not true whatsoever. Donald Trump is rescinding people's visas that are here legally. He's taken away the right to seek asylum. He has completely upended all kinds of legal immigration here by disrupting the system where migrants are actually able to make court appointments and then show up for their day in court to plead their case to stay in the country. And he sent ICE agents in these courts because it's easy pickings to get these people out of there. No, this is not the law. This is criminal activity that is specifically designed to usurp laws that the Trump administration does not agree with.
Just someone who disagrees with me politically. It's dictatorship, it's state-run media, it's suppression of dissent, it's political violence used to silence the opposition, which, let's be honest...
Suppression of dissent? Are we really using that term right now? When Donald Trump specifically is like, you can't protest me or you're a terrorist? We're really gonna complain about suppression of dissent by Democrats calling Trump a fascist? Democrats saying that Trump is a fascist is suppression of dissent. All right, Tommy. Okay.
It sounds
so that's suppression of dissent. So what? What is that suppressing? Like, what is that suppressing? Is that suppressing Donald Trump being a fascist? Because if Democrats calling Trump a fascist is suppression of dissent, then I'm totally fine with it.
a lot closer to some of the tactics we've seen from the radical left for at least the last decade. Calling everyone who leans right a fascist is not just dishonest, it's dangerous. And not just because it puts a big old target on our backs, but also this: when everything is fascism, nothing is. The left did the same with the label racist, and while they still...
Girl, wait, what do you mean? You can't say that describing the administration as fascist and describing a lot of different parts of the administration as being fascist is the same as calling everything fascist. It's a fascist administration. It's just because people say that one specific thing is fascist and they say it over and over and over again, that doesn't mean they're calling everything fascist. You can say the word fascist multiple times and be referring to the same thing. It's not like Trump gets one fascist applied to him and then he gets filled up and you can't tack on any more instances of the word fascist. He's not a fucking video game character where you need to distribute fascists equally. People say fascist and they can refer to him multiple times. No, Tommy, you're right. If you say the word fascist too many times, it's like she gets stun locked and she's just like, what does that even mean? You're saying that word like fascist. That sounds funny in your mouth. Fascist. I wonder where that came from. Fascist. What are we talking about again? Everything's fascist?
It's dictatorship, it's state-run media, it's suppression of dissent, it's political violence used to silence the opposition, which, let's be honest, sounds a lot closer to some of the tactics we've seen from the radical.
Getting rid of birthright citizenship. I don't think he'll be able to get rid of birthright citizenship. Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Left for at least the last decade. Calling everyone who leans right a fascist is not just dishonest, it's dangerous. And not just because it puts a big old target on our backs, but also this: when everything is fascism, nothing is. The left did the same with the label racist, and while they still love that one, they've become more enamored with fascist because it's more abstract and they can assign whatever the hell they want to it because, let's be honest, these idiot protesters and Antifa freaks don't really know what the hell fascism is, and they don't care. It's an excuse. It turns our politics into a clown show. It shuts down debate. It desensitizes people to the real threats out there. And maybe that's the point. Because if you can paint every conservative, from a suburban mom to a small business owner, as a budding Hitler, you don't have to argue ideas anymore. You just smear, silence, and move on. It's lazy, it's manipulative, and yeah, it's un-American. If Democrats really want to have a conversation, let's do it. Let's talk about policy, solutions. But this fascist nonsense, it's a political crutch, a fear tactic, a distraction, and honestly...
You're doing a really good job convincing yourself of that. If you try to ascribe a political position to us, that's a crutch. Trying to describe my position is a crutch.
It's getting old. But joining me now to have the discussion is liberal commentator and co-host of Breaking Points with Krystal and Sagar is Krystal Ball. Krystal, it's so great to have you. I want to have the discussion. I know that you tweet a lot about it, and I'm very interested to hear if you think President Trump is a fascist, and if you think that I, by definition as a conservative, am also a fascist.
I don't think everyone who supports President Trump is a fascist. I do think that President Trump is a fascist, though. And I'll give you a perfect example, Tommy. It's kind of an awkward day for you to give this spiel because Trump is speaking to all the generals today in Quantico. And he just said that he's going to use the military against the enemy within, which is part and parcel of what he's been doing with deploying the National Guard in cities across the country. So when you ask about definition of fascism, the president really sort of gave his own definition of fascism today. I know you want to agree with that, but let me just make a broader point here.
Yeah, I want to dive into
that. Well, let me just make a broader point here because, you know, I think as someone who came from a side that did a lot of tone policing and, by the way, called out people who were policing rhetoric and doing the whole cancel culture thing, I would really caution you from going down this path, especially as someone who, you know, is a commentator, uses your words for a living. I know in the past I did a little bit of research. You called people who were enforcing mask protocols Nazis. President Trump has, of course, used his language in quite aggressive ways, including calling Kamala Harris and others fascists, radical leftists, communists, et cetera, et cetera. Do I think that that was inciting violence against Kamala Harris? Do I think you were inciting violence against people who were enforcing mask mandates? No. So I think we have to really maintain this commitment to First Amendment free speech, even in the face of incredible crackdowns from this administration in ways that are truly extraordinary and quite dystopian.
I would love to hear about the First Amendment crackdowns from this administration and what you would classify those.
You would love to hear about the First Amendment crackdowns because, to be honest, she just hasn't heard of them at all. But yeah, I totally agree with what Krystal is saying. Like, at some point, we need to actually define what violent language is and not just criticizing Republicans. Because, I mean, it's getting ridiculous, man. You actually have to give some... You have to give some actual reasons why just criticizing Donald Trump is being violent against him. Frozen to solid. Oh.
But I want to go back to President Trump this morning. And again, I know that the liberals, I know that you all love it when he says something and it's like, oh my God, this is the definition. He's going to use the military against us. Well, I would argue it's well within his rights to use National Guard in D.C. And D.C. is a pretty great place right now, by all accounts, because of his use of the National Guard there to keep people safe. Mostly black and brown people, I would add. But also, when you are deploying troops to protect federal agents and federal buildings, you're also well within your right. That's not authoritarian. It's if you want to have Antifa lighting the streets on fire and terrorizing people in these cities, President Trump is going to protect his agents and he's going to protect federal assets. So I don't know what part of that you think is authoritarian. To me, it's just if you guys want to play stupid games, we're going to make sure that we have our federal assets protected. Would you rather they just be out there and be attacked by Molotov cocktails and bottles and things being lit on fire around them, buildings being lit on fire? I mean, is that your preferred course?
Well, first of all, I would say I don't think you should believe everything that you see on Fox News, Tommy, because that is not the reality in any of these cities. And I spend quite a bit of time in Washington, D.C. Second of all, you know, local law enforcement exists for a reason. And there's a reason why we have a separation between civilian local law enforcement and the military. The military is trained to go after enemies. Do you see the American people as the enemy? Because that's the way that President Trump is.
I mean, there was a video that came out last week of ICE agents chasing a guy down because he said, fuck Trump. Like, yeah, there's clear targeting of people based off of their speech from, like, specifically from ICE agents. Like, especially when you're targeted because of your speech on Gaza and the administration, and your visa is getting revoked because of what you've said and the critical things you've spoken about the administration on. Like, ICE is a very specific instance where, yes, there's attacks on freedom of speech very clearly, and you have to be kind of like, you have to kind of be obtusely blind to not understand that.
Framing this, he is saying
in DC,
the enemy within
Guard
is the American people.
In the National Guard in DC, have they gone after you? Have they militarized?
Have they gone after me specifically?
Or have they?
Well, it's because they're fat and lazy. So maybe if Krystal was going by on a scooter and she said, fuck Donald Trump, they'd go after her.
They've gone after anybody. Can you give me an example of where the National Guard in DC has hurt an American civilian or has been militarized against an American citizen? Because they've been there for what now, a couple months?
And yeah, I think in Portland, they just went after someone and chased him down on a bike. They've definitely gone after people based off of their speech that were like applying for visas or trying to get into the country and gone through their social media. I mean, Hasan got detained at the airport because of his social media presence and what he's been talking about against Donald Trump and ICE.
I haven't seen any example of where the National Guard has overstepped their boundaries or authority or done anything that would qualify as like this militarized authoritarian rule. I haven't seen it. Maybe you have.
Yeah, so I think there's a fair point that you're making there, which is that because we have the Posse Comitatus Act, you cannot actually engage in civilian law enforcement. A lot of what they've done is to back up ICE agents, so we can have a whole separate conversation about the aggressive abuses there and the way that American people feel that that has gone way too far in a way that has been aggressively violent. A lot of what they have done in DC is frankly like a waste of taxpayer dollars, picking up trash and just standing around. However, that doesn't mean that we should accept the image and normalize having military soldiers. And in LA, you know, they use active duty Marines in our streets. Furthermore, what is probably even more troubling and has gotten a lot less attention is Trump just signed this new national security memorandum that effectively labels anyone who opposes him and his views as a potential domestic terrorist. Now that does come with actual federal resources that can do a lot more than just like pick up trash and sort of stand around while ICE does whatever they want to do. So you're right. In DC, in Chicago, so what we've seen so far, a lot of this is like fascist theater, but it is meant to intimidate. It is meant to send a message that political opposition will not be tolerated. And you have to put it together, Tommy. I genuinely want to ask you this question. Like, is there nothing that he's done that you feel like, you know, it's a little too far? Like we've had the tariffs, which have been wild.
I mean, I don't think it's likely that Trump will get rid of birthright citizenship. But I also didn't really think he was going to pass a national security memorandum that said leftists or people that disagree with Christian values and fundamental American values of sucking off the police are terrorists, are doing terrorism. Like, so I don't think it's going to happen. And it sounds insane to even consider it, but never fucking know, man. Just keep in mind that hopefully the Trump administration agrees with the rest of the country that they really only have until the midterms. So all of the crazy shit they're going to do is going to happen in the end of this year and next year. So really, if we don't see any kind of meaningful change on the attempt to get rid of birthright citizenship by midway next year, I think we're probably safe, but we'll see.
And unilaterally imposed. We've got Palantir getting contracts to surveil anyone and everyone they want to. We have people being sent to a foreign gulag with zero due process. We have
Are you calling me a fascist? But I do love people getting sent to foreign gulags.
National Guard being deployed in city after city after city. You have American citizens. I mean,
City after city after
I don't know if you
city.
saw this video.
Which cities has he deployed National Guard to besides protecting
LA,
federal?
DC, Memphis,
Oh, yeah?
Portland.
We invited him here.
20
We invited him
different
to
states.
Tennessee. We invited him to Tennessee. Governor invited him to come clean up the streets of Memphis because they desperately need the help. So this is I'm genuinely curious in this.
But Tommy, can you respond to the question though? None of this you feel this is a little too far.
No.
Saying policing comedians' monologues, right?
He's not
using lawsuits to threaten media, consolidating media in the
Krystal,
hands of his
Krystal,
allies.
I know that you're not trying to allege that Jimmy Kimmel or Colbert were taken off the air because of President Trump.
They obviously were. I mean, Kimmel in particular, Colbert, you could make another argument about. But the FCC commissioner came out and said we could do this the easy way or the hard way. And next thing you know, Disney pulls the plug. Why? Because
why
they
did they
know that
reinstate
this
him then?
president weaponizes the federal government
Why was he
against his
reinstated?
adversaries. They're worried about their business deals because the backlash was so severe. Look, these people don't care about anything about their bottom line. I hope you agree with that. And they saw more than 1.7 million Disney customers cancel their Disney Plus subscriptions. So they were like, oh, we've got an even bigger problem here. But there is zero doubt that the intention is to chill speech, to make anyone who opposes this president.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you just had a very high profile instance where Trump quite literally tried to take someone off of the airways because of their political speech. And it was the head of the FCC. It was not that Disney canceled it. It was that Disney was threatened by the head of the FCC. Now it's like, oh my God, that wasn't political at all. Are you kidding me? It just lost the money. So they canceled him. Well, when they brought him back, or when they canceled him, then they started losing money. So actually, he was making them money.
Think twice before they do that. That's what the university crackdowns are about. That's what the legal crackdowns are about. That's what kidnapping students off the street for writing an op-ed. That's what that's about. That's what the National Guard in the street is about. And that's what him saying to these generals today, we have to use the military against the enemy within. So you may not like the term fascist. You may not like it when it's thrown around by Democrats. You had no problem with it when it was thrown around by Trump, by the way. But that is, in fact, the accurate description of what we're seeing here. And so I have no problem with people trying to accurately describe the situation that they're experiencing in their own country.
Do you think that I have so many questions for you? That whole thing like democracy under attack, dictator on day one, that worked so well for you guys in November of last year. I'm actually shocked that you're still using it and you think that it's working on the American people. It didn't, and
But
it's
Tommy,
not.
not everything is about a poll. Right. Some things are about like you actually have a principle and you actually care about protecting First Amendment. I mean, to me, this is like
you guys think that though, that's
Tommy,
fine.
this is to me,
Krystal,
one of the best things about America. Is
I do
my
too.
ability and your ability to say what we think. You know, and I know you've been critical at times of Trump. I'm sure you'd like to preserve the ability to be so. I'm sure you'd like,
of course,
if there's
and I
a
don't
future
think that I
Gavin
have any
Newsom
danger
or
of losing my
AOC
ability to do
administration.
it. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think that.
but do you worry? Do you
No.
worry about the turnabout though?
No,
do you
I don't.
worry that when it's an AOC or a Gavin Newsom?
She's like a goldfish, man. No, I don't even worry about how I'm gonna get home tonight. I usually just like close my eyes and then eventually I'm there. I don't know if the studio has someone that drives me, but I don't worry a lot about a lot of things, Krystal. I'm pretty chill like that. She didn't even say, do you worry? And then, do you worry about what? She didn't even get that out. She's just like, do you worry? And Tommy's like, no.
That you're going to be the one put it on the domestic terror watch list because that's what's happening right now.
Krystal. So if you did a little bit more research, you would know that your guy, AutoPen, actually did pressure social media companies to deplatform me, to move me
And
down
Tommy,
in the algorithm, to
if
reduce
you did
me.
a little bit of research, you would know that I complained and protested against those sorts of actions. I have been consistent in saying we should not have a ministry of truth.
This is an actual
Government
example.
should not be involved. Hold on.
This is an actual example. Bro, ICE has been kidnapping children. Like, they've been kidnapping people because of essays they've written on Palestine, saying that like we shouldn't kill all people that live in Palestine. But no, that's an actual example. What happened to you? Tommy Lauren got canceled by Joe Biden. AutoPen. Tommy Lauren, Joe Biden censored. Wait, IMDb. Why is there an IMDb thing? Okay, what did Joe Biden do? So, the Biden White House's efforts to censor opposing viewpoints only grew. What? Who heads the House Judiciary Committee revealed the Biden White House furiously pressured Facebook to censor content that raised questions about or criticized it. That's the censorship? They pressured Facebook to censor misinformation? Oh yeah, that's the same thing, right? Rob Flaherty, then director of digital strategy at the Biden White House, said to Facebook, if you were to change their algorithm so that people were more likely to see NYT, any authoritative news source over Daily Wire, Tommy Lauren, polarizing people, you wouldn't have a mechanism to check the material impact. What? Talk about Big Brother. Okay, so she was spreading misinformation and they're like, can you change the algorithm so that more reputable news sites would come up instead of like misinformation like the Daily Wire and Tommy Lauren? And you're comparing that to the FCC criticize, like basically saying that they're gonna shut down Disney if Jimmy Kimmel isn't fired. Like specifically Jimmy Kimmel, right? We're saying that, oh, They said they wanted to tweak the algorithm so that you wouldn't kill people because of your COVID vaccine misinformation.
Hold on. Government should not be involved in pressuring social media companies to cancel. What the Biden administration did, as revealed in the Twitter files and the Hunter Biden laptop suppression, I spoke out against all of that. So you can't get me on that crap.
Well, I'm glad that you did.
That is nothing compared to the way.
Also, who gives a fuck when you're comparing it to the FCC, the head of the FCC pressuring a company to get a single person off, not because of misinformation, but because of their political speech. It's a bit different.
That this administration has used the whole of government, weaponized the whole of government in order to try to silence and coerce their critics. There is no doubt about it. The FCC commissioner coming out and directly saying, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. That is overt jawboning. That is overt threats to media companies. Then you have the lawsuits that are used to basically extract a bribe to coerce these media organizations. And then you have mass consolidation in the hands of Trump political allies. That's what's going on. So the First Amendment is under attack in a way we have never seen before, going back even to the days of George W. Bush and the Patriot Act and that surveillance, which I also objected to, by the way.
Krystal, it's interesting to me that when I show you all of the censorship from the Biden administration, which I'm glad that you disagreed with, but when I show you like concrete examples of they did this, they did that, Hunter Biden laptop impacted an election, right? All the COVID misinformation, they pressured YouTube, Google, every single one of them was pressured. And these companies are coming out and saying we are pressured.
God,
to deplatform people, to lock people out of the accounts, delete accounts, reduce people on these platforms during COVID, calling it misinformation, disinformation. We have concrete examples of this, but then you say, well, you know, because they deceptively edited that Kamala interview, and because Colbert lost his show because he lost money, and because Kimmel was off the air for 5 days. That's your example of like the government's cracking down on free speech, when I have an actual example of they actually silenced.
What do you mean it's an actual example? You can't say that I have an actual example and you don't, when she does. Fuck, I'm gonna die. Oh my god. God damn it, motherfucker. I've been trying to kill this guy for like a week.
People. Here it is. Citizens, content creators, influencers, politicians, doesn't matter. They did all these things. And you're like, but Colbert and Kimmel, you know, you see why it's hard for me to believe you when you're like, the First Amendment is now under attack.
It's hard for me when you spoke out against those things under the Biden administration and you have nothing to say about what's happening with the Trump administration. Look at the way they are trying to designate speech as material support for terrorism. Pam Bondi coming out and saying the exact woke thing that I'm sure you objected to in the past.
And I did disagree with that when Pam Bondi came out and said,
when Trump came out and said the exact same thing and said, you're not allowed to criticize me.
No, he did not say that.
Speech.
He never said that.
He
said, we're cracking down on Antifa and domestic terrorists. Do you not?
You can look it up.
I guess I would ask you this. Do you not think that Antifa and their tactics, which I've seen firsthand, do you not think Antifa and the things that they pull, particularly in places like Seattle and Portland, do you not see that as domestic terrorism?
I think crime is crime and should be dealt with as such. But in the same way that I objected to the mass surveillance of the Bush administration and the expansion of the terror state apparatus that has occurred ever since then, I vociferously object to this attempt to use Palantir to surveil everything that all of us say for wrongthink. God forbid that we criticize Israel. God forbid that we criticize what ICE is doing. That's the regime that they're putting into place, Tommy. I mean, that's what they are trying to effectuate right now.
Well, I disagree with you on that point, but I don't agree with
they were the lowest.
Disagree on that? Like, you're just not paying any attention to what's going on then. Like, sure, you can say that the Biden administration canceled you because they didn't name you by name as a content creator that was contributing to COVID misinformation. So, sure, you have a valid point there. You can say that, like, oh, the Biden administration tried to cancel conservatives and that was bad. Yeah, say that all day. But then what you can't do is go on to be like, well, I don't see any examples of Trump trying to silence people on his political opposition. You can't say that. Especially when your interlocutor is literally giving you fucking examples as you speak. Brown.
Hanging fruit.
Yeah,
they were the lowest hanging fruit. And now it's coming for American citizens who also, by the way, are being caught up in these immigration raids as well. So this isn't just staying with, the people you might be more comfortable with. This has huge impacts on all of us, and especially as people who make our living through our ability to speak and to say at times provocative things. Like, that's part of the job. And that's exactly what this administration is really trying to go after.
Krystal,
and
I'm not
make
disagreeing with you.
Not that nobody won't be able to say anything, but that they have to think twice. I mean, you mentioned Google and YouTube, and then I'll shut up and let you say the next thing. But they just had to do some, multi-million-dollar settlement and basically pay tribute to the Trump administration because they want to make sure their deals can go through and they get their tax breaks or whatever it is that they want. That's what all of these companies are doing, and we are totally dependent on these big companies.
You are saying that. All this stuff is not that we have the companies that actually came out and said Biden administration pressured us to remove this, this, and that. But you are just assigning that to these companies because you believe
that was reported within Disney. No, that's not true. That was reported about the deliberations with regard to Jimmy Kimmel.
So why
they
is
didn't
he
actually
back
have a
then?
problem with what he said.
Because all these Americans.
She already answered that. He's back because of a monetary decision. They decided that, it's not worth sacrificing this many subscribers to get a little bit of an easy win on the Trump administration. Like, she's answered that. What do you? I don't know, man. Obviously, like, she's dumb and playing dumb.
Now
I
his
just
ratings
told
are
you
back in
because
the tank.
1.7 million.
Now the ratings are back in the tank.
People cancel Disney Plus.
Yeah, the ratings are back in the tank. He got that great big boost, and then boom, his audience left again, and they will. And I'm all for him being on air.
Tommy,
I think he should be. I think he should fail on his own.
Watched Jimmy
Krystal.
Kimmel in ages.
No
I
shit.
don't know what he has to say.
Nobody
like,
is.
It's fine. Obviously, these are
Okay,
all
that's
dinosaur programs that are going to go away eventually. It's about the principle. I stood up where a lot of people during the Biden years that I have no ideological agreement with whatsoever, because it's the principle of protecting free speech, protecting the First Amendment, even the right to say things that are offensive to people, that are provocative, that are outrageous.
And
so if you have a government that is trying to weaponize all of their agencies to try to chill speech
that's where you
and
lose
coerce the
That's where you
media.
lose. I don't think that they're doing that. Now, I believe in free speech. I don't believe that Kimmel or Colbert were taken off the air because of President Trump. I don't believe you on that. But you're talking about speech, and I agree with you on speech, all right? I believe you should be able to say provocative things. I think that there is a limit when it comes to credible threats. But outside of that, I'm more talking about, you mentioned the National Guard and the troops, and I asked you about Antifa. I'm talking about actions now. I'm not talking about words. I'm talking about actions. When Antifa goes out on the street and they light things on fire, or they're firebombing an ICE facility, things of that nature, do you not think that the National Guard might be helpful in deterring some of that violence, not just to protect the federal agents, but also the federal buildings? And I don't know, maybe make the area a little bit safer for the businesses and others that are operating in that vicinity to be able to carry about their daily business without being antagonized by freaks who consider themselves to be Antifa warriors?
First of all, let's talk a little bit about Antifa. Antifa, as you know, just stands for anti-fascist. I think we should all be anti-fascist. I would suspect that you would view yourself as also being anti-fascist. So
they just have the Portland Chaz zone. That's what they have in their heads when they talk about Antifa. That was a lot of zombies and not a lot of reward for doing it. Yeah, like, what protests? Because the protests that Trump has been sending National Guard for have been anti-ICE protests, and there wouldn't be anti-ICE protests if there wasn't ICE doing illegal and brutal raids on communities in these cities. Yeah, are you talking about like the anti-ICE protests that have been happening?
Antifa as this like well-organized, well-oiled machine thing is a right-wing fantasy made up and invented out of whole cloth. So let's just put that out there. But look, if there's crimes, prosecute the crimes. Guess what? Local law enforcement is saying, we got this. Local leadership is saying, we got
Krystal,
this.
they're not.
And so if
And
you
local
have
law
certain,
enforcement
if you-
has been
but hold on, Tommy.
hamstringed by
Hold on.
your Democrats who want
It
everybody
is
to be doing arts
extra-
and crafts out on the street. And you know
It is
that damn
extraordinary.
well.
That's
Arts and
They don't
crafts.
prosecute
That is so
crime,
silly.
Krystal. They don't.
I thought she was saying that oh God. I thought she was saying they were burning down buildings. Now she's saying they were doing arts and crafts. I mean, maybe she's talking about the National Guard, because the National Guard are actually just like picking up trash because they have nothing to do. Like they're just shadowboxing against a complete hallucination, a made-up enemy that they have conjured for themselves, Antifa, and any kind of realistic implications of the National Guard coming out there, they turn a blind eye to it, and they're like, actually, like, the streets have been cleaned up. Like, there was never this type of enemy to begin with. There's never been this Antifa thugs that are simultaneously burning down the entire streets of Portland and Los Angeles. But now that the National Guard is there, they're actually not there. So, like, the absence of their evidence is evidence for their assertion. Like, the absence of evidence for Antifa is actually evidence that the National Guard have been doing a good job.
Prosecute crime. That's why you have people that have been arrested
crime
36
reduction
times
in the
people.
city of Portland.
Oh, Portland is
50%
just a
crime
fever
reduction
dream.
in the
You're
city
right.
of Portland. Baltimore, Maryland has the lowest homicide rate right now, on track, lowest
Krystal, would
on
you
record.
go walk around
Like, crime
Baltimore
is going
at night?
down, so you can't.
Krystal,
you
would
can't.
you go walk around Baltimore at night by yourself?
I would be fine walking around Baltimore.
I'd love to see
at
it. Would
night.
you film it next
I'm not
time?
afraid of this country. I'm not afraid
You
of the
should be.
people in this country.
Right,
I
I
don't
would love
think
to
we're
see the
at
video.
war with the people in this country.
Krystal, I would
But
love
the
to
bottom
see you go
line
walk
is,
around these cities at night by yourself. Take a video and send it to
Tommy,
me.
I've lived in these cities. I've walked around, and not Baltimore specifically. I walked around plenty of cities,
You
New
told
York
me it was
City
safe.
at night, etc. It's not something to be terrified of.
I'd love to
In
see
any
you do
case,
it.
local law enforcement can handle it. The situation here is that
She's so annoying, man. She's so fucking annoying.
you have the Trump coming in and wanting to make a show of force. This is not about dealing with crime. In fact, drug trafficking, probably something you care about. Those convictions are way down under the Trump administration. Why? Because they're all focused on like raiding Home Depots rather than going after actual criminals. So
No,
if
they're
you care
blowing them
about
out of
law
the
and
water
order,
too, Krystal.
this
They're doing a lot.
administration has been a failure. No, when they're actually blowing out of the water is random innocent fishermen, which
You
is
think
another
so?
reason
Do you have
why
facts
this
for that?
administration is completely out of control.
Do you have facts for that? When they're blowing up these drug cartel boats,
Yes,
they're
I
just
do.
fishermen?
Actually, at least one of these boats. Okay, first of all, wildly illegal under international law, even if it is drug traffickers. That's number one. Number two, very few of the drugs that come into this country, which mostly are trafficked in by American citizens, by the way, come from Venezuela. Number three.
All right, chat. What do I update? What do I upgrade when I'm leveling up? I take a look at my chest. I want to see what weapons I have. So to use these spells, I need more intelligence. But I'm looking at my weapons. The weapons I want to try are... I really want to try this scythe that I got, which is this scythe. I need more dexterity and more faith. So maybe I should do a faith build, because I really like the Holy Ash of War. What's my faith at right now? Faith is at 14. That's not bad. All right, I'll level up my faith here. I'll go back to that guy and try to kill him until this dumb in.
Reporters found the widowed wife of one of the fishermen who was blown up. Okay, so I don't know
Krystal,
why
are
you
these
just
the same?
accept
Are these
uncritically.
the same kind of people?
Hold on.
No,
why
let me
do you
speak.
just accept
No,
uncritically
let me-
what
first
this
of all-
administration says at every
Krystal,
turn? Like, don't you
Krystal.
have a little bit of an inquisitive
I love
mind?
it. You,
Like, let
you're
me
telling
question
me
a little
that
bit.
a
Let
reporter
me
said
question
that
the government a
fisherman
little
was
bit
blown
in
up.
what they're saying.
Krystal, here's my question for you. Those same people, the fishermen on these boats with all the drugs and whatever that just happened to be on there, are they the same thing as the farmers in Iraq and Afghanistan who were just digging holes on the side of the road, filling them with bombs to blow up our soldiers. The same kind of
You
like
don't
the
think that we
farmers.
massacred civilians in Iraq? You think we didn't massacre civilians at times in Iraq?
I'm sure
what
that
you're
we
saying?
did. It's called war, my friend. But this
Massacring civilians is called war. Faith level up. Yes, we massacred civilians. That's called war. Every good country does it.
whole thing of like, they're just fishermen, they're just farmers. It's bullshit, and you know it's bullshit. But what's weird to me is Democrats will go
I
out
don't.
of
It's
your
weird
way.
to me that you just accept whatever this administration says when they lie all the time. Like their go-to move is just to lie about some stuff. We were told the CCOT guys were the worst of the worst. Oh, they're the worst of the worst. They're these violent criminals. They're all gang members. Lo and behold, the vast majority of them had no criminal records.
vast
Many of them
majority
were
in CCOT,
following
huh?
the Yes, the vast majority of them had no criminal records, and some of them were following the immigration
Yep, that's
procedures.
true.
And they're sentenced to this foreign slave labor camp with zero due process. And it's crazy.
Yeah, like 80 to 90% of the people sent to CCOT were ostensibly being members of Tren de Aragua. They had no criminal records, no evidence that they were in a gang at all. Remember, they're like, oh, well, you have some tattoos for like autism awareness or for your favorite soccer team. And so we're going to we're saying that you're gang affiliated because you have tattoos. Like that was only a few months, that was like 6 months ago, man. But no, it's everyone deserves it, and the Trump administration never does anything wrong. And even if they do, God, I'm getting massacred. Even if they do something wrong, it's because, well, it's justified anyway. Like in war, things happen.
Easy to me that you think that these principles will just stay with the people that you don't care about. That when due process is thrown out the window, that isn't an attack on all of our rights.
Are you
because
one of
it
those
very
Kilmar
clearly is.
Abrego Garcia, Maryland father people?
Dude, they cannot get over the fact that a guy with a Hispanic sounding name was referred to as a Maryland man in the news. I remember that. I'm like, what's that? Who gives a shit? What do you mean Maryland man? Is this some kind of musical? And they're like, the Maryland man hoax. He was a man that lived in Maryland. What do you mean Maryland man hoax? They're like, this is not a Maryland man. Of course, when they say Maryland man, they mean white person. And if you're trying to establish the guy as some kind of hardened cartel member, then calling him a Maryland man kind of undercuts that purpose.
You think he's just
of course,
a
he was
Maryland father?
wrongfully deported. This administration admitted they wrongfully deported him.
But no,
they admitted that, not me. They did.
No. He was wrongfully deported to El Salvador because a judge said he couldn't go there because he feared retribution from rival gangs. So it wasn't that he wasn't eligible for deportation, Krystal. It's that they shouldn't have sent him to El Salvador because then his rival gang members might kill him. So that was the issue. But he's not a gang member, but he's fearful of rival gangs. So that's
not rival gangs, gang members. What, the judge knew the internal composition of different El Salvadorian gangs?
a little weird to me. But again, so he was eligible for deportation because he's an illegal alien.
How they try to exact retribution against people who won't join with them and, pay their tribute?
So that's what it was?
You don't know that's how gangs work?
That's what
gangs
it was.
work.
He's
You're
definitely,
not familiar with that?
even though how many judges in Prince
I love
George County
Krystal
said this
getting
guy is
catty
MS-13, you're like, nope, he said he
None.
wasn't, so
Zero.
he's not.
Zero said that, Tommy. Zero said that. You
They
got to
didn't-
get your facts straight, girl.
they didn't
This is
have
not
evidence
reality.
of
in that
his
case.
MS-13
The
ties?
bullshit case. No, this bullshit case against them that they ginned up, by the way, was falling apart. So, they're trying to, or they're deporting him to a random third country.
Krystal, so I'm gonna
but
ask
because
you-
they knew.
Yeah.
No, but Tommy, the reason they're doing that is because they knew they were not going to be able to get a conviction against them because there was no there on this nonsense that
Really?
they ginned up against him.
So when he was in Tennessee
Yeah,
with all those
really.
people in the vehicle that had no luggage and didn't really know where they were going, he wasn't trafficking people. They were just heading out to a party, heading out to.
What are we talking about? Dude, address the merits. He was never proven to be in a gang. Just because he was driving some people and he got pulled over, what is that supposed to mean? That he was trafficking people for a gang. That's why he was in a car with two other people one time.
law
Tupperware
enforcement
party or what?
Law enforcement evaluated the situation and
No.
said,
The
"You're
Biden
free to go."
administration said let
so
him go.
I'm going to take the cops.
No,
I'm going
Krystal.
to take the cops'
No,
word
Krystal.
for it at the time.
Krystal.
Versus
Those
your
are our
word
law
for it in
enforcement
this
officers in
invented case from the
Tennessee.
government.
Krystal. Law enforcement
So
officers in
let
Tennessee.
me ask you this, Tommy.
I know that this is
Shouldn't
your
they-
game to
shouldn't
just
they-
interrupt me the entire time, but you're not
Shouldn't-
going.
Her game is to interrupt her the entire time. She's so indignant. Dude, this is like debate tactics from like 10 years ago. Oh, you're just going to interrupt me, or let me just talk bad faith and be like, "Oh, well, when they found him driving a car, doesn't that mean he's a criminal?" Because like, well, no, cartel members drive cars, and so did Abrego Garcia. The cops didn't say that it was gang related at all, but you know, I know better than the cops. Oh, well, you're saying that you believe the cops? Well, it was the Biden administration cops. They were the ones that did it. And they specifically wanted Kilmar Abrego Garcia to not be arrested because he was a plant. He was a plant to get Donald Trump in the future because he knew that Donald Trump was going to be racist. And so they wanted to get Donald Trump and say, haha, you deported him when you weren't supposed to. But we left this little trail of breadcrumbs to pique your interest on this guy. Like, what is happening in her worldview? It's all a conspiracy to make Trump look bad because Kilmar Abrego Garcia was specifically chosen by Biden to be released because he's a cartel member. So in her worldview, Joe Biden, the auto pen, President Auto Pen, let a cartel member go just for fun, just for shits and giggles. He's like, he's a member of the cartel. He was human trafficking. This one case that happened in like New Mexico or wherever he was when he got pulled over, I'm going to intervene and say, let this criminal trafficker go free. Because we all know how much Joe Biden loves illegal immigration, and he was famously never in favor of shutting down the border or limiting the amount of immigration that could come in through the southern border.
Shouldn't they prosecute him then? If he's this violent gang leader,
the
don't
Biden
you want the
administration said to
prosecute
let him go. He was on body cam with our Tennessee law enforcement officers that said this guy is human trafficking. The Biden administration said to let him go. It wasn't our law enforcement
Joe
in Tennessee.
Biden intervenes here. Okay, Tommy, but if he's this violent gang leader, don't you want to see him prosecuted?
I want to see him sent out of our country.
Him brought to justice?
Out of our country.
Oh, you're going to just let this violent gang leader go? Shouldn't be.
That's something that I've actually like wondered about conservatives too. Like, why do they just want to deport these people instead of actually trying them for their crimes? And the answer is because it's easier to get rid of brown people from your country if you don't actually try them for any kind of crimes. Like, because we know her goal isn't to stop crime. Her goal is to deport people. That's what the goal is.
Prosecuted here, shouldn't he face criminal justice for these horrific acts you're alleging that he committed? No, they want to just get him out of the country because they know they can't secure a conviction because they know there's no there. So you should be very upset with them for dropping this case and just deporting him.
No, I love it when they just deport the
time or do
criminals.
anything for these horrific human trafficking things that you say
Krystal,
that
I
he
love
did.
it when they just deport them. So you got the wrong number on that one. I love it when they just deport people. I think that's better. I'd rather
So you
do
like
that
it when
than...
people don't face justice?
No, they
you,
do.
You
It's
like
called
to
being
let criminals
deported.
go free.
No, it's being
you
deported.
Like to let.
Right, like if he's a violent criminal, and I think they were saying that like he abused his wife too. That's another narrative that the conservatives came up with. If he's truly a violent criminal, then letting him go free is just that. It's not holding him accountable for any of the alleged crimes that you're saying he's committed.
Let criminals go free and not have to serve time in prison.
I like
That's
him
weird.
to be deported. We tried to send him to El Salvador, but unfortunately, you guys cried about that and over margaritas. So there was that.
Bro, she's actually like a 5-year-old girl's idea of what a conservative commentator is. It just seems like she doesn't have any kind of convictions of her own, and she's mimicking what she thinks a conservative would say. Oh, I like it when they're deported. You don't want someone to stand trial for their crimes? No, I like it when they're deported. We tried to deport him, but you had a hissy fit, so we're gonna try again. That can't possibly be your personal views. It's a caricature. It's a conservative caricature that she's created to play on her show, man. Like, sure, now I understand why her tagline is fearless, because she doesn't actually care about looking like a fool. She's just fearlessly playing this cartoon character that she's made up. All right, let's pause this for a sec. I'm gonna turn on the volume. I want to see what this character has to say. Good.
It will do no good, I swear it. And yet you persist. You frothing degenerates.
Good.
It will do no good, I swear.
Ambush shard. So do I need to rescue this person? The wizard?
It will do no good, I swear it.
Or do I just leave?
And yet you persist. You frothing degenerates.
Alright, well, have good luck with your situation you've got going on down there. I accidentally attacked an NPC, and that's how I got this halberd. He was not happy with me though, and I wasn't actually able to kill him, and then he just like fell off of the cliff, and I took his halberd. It was so sad too. His daughter gave me a letter to deliver to him, and then he's like, oh thanks, well once the castle's secure I'll go visit her. I'm like, dude, just go now. But he wouldn't do it, so I ended up just attacking him, because he's also like, oh, I have a legendary sword. But he was just going to stay at the castle, and I had liberated it. So I ended up attacking him, and he was not happy. But he ended up falling off the edge and dying. So maybe I'll go back to that NPC if I need to like free her or something. But all right, back to this NPC, Tommy Lauren.
Let's go to this. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on this. Pete Hegseth thinks that we should have uniform standards for men and women in combat positions. I'm going to play the clip, and then we'll hear your take on it.
This, and I want to be very clear about this, this is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result, so be it. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify, because we're not playing games. This is combat. This is life or death. As we all know, this is you versus an enemy hell-bent on you. To be an effective, lethal fighting force, you must trust that the warrior alongside you in battle is capable, truly physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. You know this is the only standard you would want for your kids and for your grandkids. Apply the War Department Golden Rule, the 1990 test, and the E6 test, and it's really hard to go wrong.
All right, Krystal.
I don't want any women in the armed forces, and I only want strong, buff men. Men that you can get along with, men you can work out with, and then just have fun enjoying your manly time together. The only type of men that I want. Summoning pool. Pete Hegseth just likes strong men and no girls allowed. That's what he wants in his armed forces. Men that you can wrestle with, work up a good sweat, and then afterwards, sauna. Or get in the shower. And it's okay. Everyone's a man there. If it's a group shower, that's fine. In fact, that's better. It's male bonding. The girls want to get it. We have to have uniform physical tests. We're not trying to say that no women allowed, but if women can't make it, that's even better.
I'm sure you got an issue with that. So you want to tell me what it is?
Dude, Tommy Lauren does not look like she's enjoying this at all. She's just plays a clip. She's like, I'm sure you hate that. Why? Why do you hate it? Like, let her speak, man.
I don't have an issue, Tommy. It's fine.
You don't?
Fewer women sent to fight and die in pointless foreign wars. Fine with me.
Oh, no, I died.
So you're fine with the standards. So you agree with our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, that we need to have uniform standards. And if women can't meet them, then that's DEI doesn't apply here?
Like I said, if we have fewer women sent overseas, fewer everyone sent overseas to fight and die in useless foreign wars, then I have no problem with that.
Well, I'm so happy to hear you say that. And I'm assuming that you're against DEI then just universally, or do you like the DEI concept?
I actually am against. It depends on your definition of DEI. I think Republicans have perverted it to just mean like when black people get jobs. For example, the mayor of Baltimore was called a DEI mayor, even though he was democratically elected just because he happens to be a black man. But, you know, I've opposed things like affirmative action used in college admissions and things of that nature. So,
which is wrong. That's wrong to do. Affirmative action is based.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we can both agree that the Department of War should not be using DEI. So,
I mean, I guess affirmative action is not great, but like we need some kind of way to counteract the historic effects of segregation in this country, and that's kind of the only thing that we were able to come up with. So, yeah, Donald Trump got rid of affirmative action, but he didn't replace it with anything that would actually address racial and other types of disparities in this country, which is not a good thing when we're talking about trying to make sure everyone is treated equally and trying to reach out to the underserved of our society.
We found one area of agreement. Hallelujah. I'm glad that you brought up DEI hires, though, in terms of what we Republicans think of it. What do you think about that Iowa superintendent who's an illegal alien? What do you think about him getting that job? Are you cool with that one too, or you're going to surprise me maybe?
I mean, in terms of his performance on the job, it seems like he did a good job. The community is out protesting his potential deportation because he was getting test scores back up after there was COVID learning loss. And, you know, I mean, to me, this is someone who apparently is exactly the type of person we would want in this country, not just when he was in Des Moines, but he also had a high level role in St. Louis school systems and Pennsylvania school district. He was considered an outstanding principal in the Washington, D.C. school system. He's been in the country for decades, and he seems exactly like the sort of person that we should reward with citizenship, who's a tremendous benefit to our country and to his community.
The weapons they found, that doesn't concern you at all?
It was a hunting rifle, by the way.
I thought you were a two-way girl.
Yeah, it was a hunting rifle. That was the weapons that they found.
I am a 2A girl, but illegal aliens doesn't apply to them, babe. They don't get to just walk around willy-nilly.
I don't have a problem with someone having a hunting rifle, personally.
So you don't care if illegal aliens have
No, I think he should have
Firearms.
citizenship. That's my point. Is I don't really understand.
Also, yes, if you're in the country of America, the amendments, like you get the same types of rights as everyone else. So yes, even illegal aliens have the same rights as everyone else. Obviously, like, you need to have a fucking license, and it might be difficult to get a gun license if you're an illegal alien, as Tommy Lawrence so eloquently put it. But yeah, if you have the same types of rights as everyone else does if you're in this country.
Why you guys think the story is like a good one and your side?
Because Democrats tell us that they're not getting these jobs. You guys tell us they're not.
He's an Olympic athlete and PhD holder. Who did he take the job from? How many PhD holders in this country are just dying to become the superintendent of a public school, a failing public school district that no one else wanted the job for?
Stereotype that you're trying to perpetuate about undocumented immigrants. You know, he has been an upstanding community member for decades. He's served school districts. He's been a fantastic educator. He was performing, apparently, according to locals, he was performing quite admirably in this job right here. So no, I believe that immigrants are a net benefit to society, and I believe someone like him should have been rewarded with citizenship long ago.
But
now, clearly he lied in the
though.
job application process. Yeah. That's not acceptable,
So
etc.
does that not bother you at all?
But this is exactly why we need. Well, to me, it's an example of how immigrants benefit our country and why we need a path to citizenship so that people can be brought out of the shadows and can contribute openly in society the way that this man was.
So I guess my larger question here isn't about.
All right, man. Have a good evening. I should probably do soon. I wanted to get through this video though.
About maybe him himself. If you say he's a great guy, I'm just going to go ahead and give you that one. He's this great guy. You know, they found this stuff, but that's fine. Do you think it's a little odd though? Because Democrats tell me all the time that illegal aliens, they aren't getting health care. They're not voting. They're not slipping through the cracks. And then we get examples where it's like, holy shit, this guy slipped through your very tough vetting process. And he's also, by the way, a registered Democrat. But I thought that he couldn't vote. So I'm confused because you guys told me that this never happens.
I don't know if he's registered to vote. I think we should look into that. There's zero evidence that there's any significant issue with undocumented immigrants voting.
So you want the
committing
illegals to
voter
vote.
fraud? That would be voter fraud. I didn't say that. I said there's no significant evidence. There's no evidence actually at all that undocumented immigrants vote in significant numbers. Now, what I am in favor of is a pathway to citizenship for people who do pay taxes, who follow the rules, who, you know, whatever the guidelines you want to set out. So there's a predictable path so that people can be brought out of the shadows and contribute to society.
And once again, this guy probably would have applied to citizenship if there was an administration that was fine with him being a citizen and wasn't actively trying to make it more difficult for people to become American citizens. Like, not only are they not making it easier for people to get their citizenship, but they're arresting people when they're showing up to court for citizenship hearings. Yeah.
Society and contribute, you know, and have to abide by labor laws and all of that. That's what I think would benefit immigrants, that would benefit our society more broadly. And that's what I'm in favor of.
Do you think that that pathway to citizenship would be to come to the country legally in the first place? Isn't that the best and brightest
He actually
path?
did, but yes. Yeah, absolutely. But right now we don't have a system that is set up. I mean, it's a completely broken system. I think you have to acknowledge that. And especially depending on the country you're coming from, there's basically no possibility of that. So you have a lot of people who are truly desperate, who are trying to survive, who want to come here because they believe in the promise of America. And so I believe we should have a path that, you know, allows them to present themselves at a legal port of entry and follow a process and be tracked through the system and all of that. Like that, to me, in my mind, would be a functional immigration system where you don't have the sense of lawlessness and chaos and people who are working in the shadows, who, by the way, are frequently exploited and abused because they don't have legal status here.
Yeah, because they didn't come the right way. So
because they didn't come the right way. Yeah, once again, we're talking about just like making it easier for people to get citizenship. There's just no argument against this. Like they have no argument against it. All they have is hate. All they have is, okay, well, they didn't come the right way in the first place.
If fewer people would come the wrong way, you could have more people able to come the right way. I want to talk a little bit about New York City. I don't know if you're a Mamdani fan or not, but you are a big fan of Mamdani?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay. So he wants to provide $65 million for gender-affirming care. I want to play the clip, and then I want you to tell me why we should be footing the bill for that. Let's take a listen.
It is absolutely disgusting that his current administration do. They are looking to erase trans folks from the very fabric of this country. And it's up to us to actually show what leadership we look like. And one of the things that we've said beyond saying there needs a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus enrollers, beyond saying that we will establish an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs, is also that we're going to provide $65 million of funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government will pull out from local providers for that agreement.
So do you think that they should be footing the bill for the gender-affirming care?
I mean, Tommy, I think everyone should get health care. So yes, I think trans people should get health care as well. And what he's talking about is, number one, consistent with New York law, which requires gender affirming care to be provided. And number two, consistent with, basic moral values. Yeah, I think trans people should be able to get health care. And one thing I want to say about this, which, well, personally, I think we should all get health care, access to health care.
So you think we should pay for everybody's gender transition?
I think that we should pay for gender affirming care, which is medically required for trans people to feel okay. And I think it's disgusting the way that trans people have been turned into...
Wait, you want to pay for healthcare for everyone? And that includes trans people? Wait a second, that's too far. So funny. Wait, you expect me to not be transphobic? Yeah, like once again, the remember the video that the White House put out is like, the Democrats want to pay for healthcare for illegal aliens. It's just like, these conservatives are so bigoted they can't get out of their own way. Oh, you want to pay for healthcare, but for illegal aliens, that's horrible. Or you want to pay for healthcare, but it's for trans people, so we can't have it. Like, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. Ooh, nice. Yeah, like this is the classic, we can't advocate for anything nice because it might help minorities that we feel superior to.
Scapegoats by this administration, who is more interested in like fighting a culture war than really exposing the fact that they are doing the bidding of billionaires, and that those are the people who we really should be upset about, not trans people, not immigrants. But these are all distraction tactics to keep us from talking about the issues that really actually unite Americans.
I'm not so sure paying for gender-affirming care or transitions for everybody is necessarily something that unites Americans. I think there was a pretty effective ad leading up to the election last year.
That's definitely twisting my words. That's the opposite of what I said. What I said is the tactics are used to divide and distract from the fact that Trump is giving away the store to his billionaire buddies. So no, he wants to do that. And I support him doing that, by the way. And I also support him not running away from the issue. And this is part of what people like about Soran. Putting the issue specifics aside, they like that he stands on business. He's sort of like the Democrats' Trump in a way. Maybe that'll make sense to you. He doesn't run away from his views. He stands on business.
She's actually talking to her like an unruly student that's bored. Like, oh, like she's getting a tutoring session from Krystal, and she's like, this is so boring. You really think I'm going to need to use calculus when I graduate? I'm never going to have to use this. Yeah, well, Maybe I can put it in a way that you understand. See, the derivative is analogous to when you really the derivative is analogous to explaining why you do the things you want, rather than just talking about doing them.
He says things that get people, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said he'd stay here in New York City rather than run to Israel first thing when he's elected. And he's like, yeah, that's what I think. The fact that he actually fights for something and stands for affordability and being New York first, That's exactly why people have found him so incredibly appealing.
Is it affordable to pay $65 million for gender affirming care or $100 million for free lawyers to help illegals facing deportation? Is that in the best interest of New York City and their budget?
Well, you may not be aware, but there are a lot of immigrants and there are a lot of queer people in New York City. So yes, there is a segment of New York society that will benefit. But more to the point, Zoran's politics are a unifying politics because he's led his campaign with, hey, let's bring down the cost of public transportation. Hey, let's make it so that people can afford childcare so that childcare could actually be free. Hey, let's make sure people can actually afford rent in the city.
And how is he going to do
leadership, which has mostly been, well, let me get to that in a second. Most leadership in New York City has been Democratic, and they have turned the city into a playground of the rich. And so many working and middle class people have been forced out of the city. He's saying, what if we ran the city actually for all of us? So we prioritize people who are working and middle class being able to actually live here. So I'll give you, I'm sure you are familiar with, some of his policy proposals, and I'm not going to go through all like 30 or whatever, but the top of the list, he's got free childcare. He's got free public buses. He's got an affordable housing surge plus a rent freeze for rent controlled apartments. And he's got, this pilot program that got a lot of attention for the public subsidized grocery stores to help in places that are food deserts.
Yeah, so
these
like
are honestly very modest proposals that help to get the housing and the affordability crisis under control in a very expensive city.
I mean, how is he going to pay for the free for everybody? I'm just curious because
she swears a lot for having a show that bleeps out swear words.
Rich, baby.
So we're just going to tax all the rich. So you think that'll work? You think if you just tax all the rich people that they're just going to
Tommy, you don't think rich people should pay a little bit more? No. You don't think the rich people are shirking their burden?
This is why I say Tommy Lauren is doing a caricature of a conservative. This is insane. No. I don't think they should pay more. I think they should pay less. What are we doing here? You're not serious. No. Fuck poor people. I think they should be put in a meat grinder. You've seen the movie Snowpiercer, right? That's actually my political beliefs. I got one shot.
I mean, the extraordinary amount of wealth that has been consolidated in the hands of the wealthy is insane. And they pay a lower tax burden if you look at their net worth than like average middle class people. It's overwhelmingly popular.
So you don't think
tax the rich, including among MAGA Republicans. I mean, this is something that Steve Bannon has talked about. Right now, the people that are leaving New York City are not the rich. It's the working class and the middle class who are priced out of that city. And so that's what he's laser focused on.
But you don't think that if you just pay for all of these free programs by taxing the rich, you think that the rich people are just going to stay there and keep their money there and they're just going to fund all this? You think so?
Yeah, I do. They've done research, Tommy, and they have found that there, is very little evidence that the rich will just pick up and leave New York because they have to pay a little bit more in taxes. New York has a lot that's going for it. There's a lot of reasons why wealthy business owners, Wall Street, et cetera, want to congregate in this great American city. And no, I don't see that changing or going away. But I do think the city should be run more for its middle class and working class residents than for the rich. And apparently New Yorkers agree.
How much more are you going to have to tax these rich people to pay for all of the free programs for?
All right, I'm going to skip this. Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl halftime show. What does she have to say?
Guys, the last thing I want to talk to you about is because I'm about ready to do my commentary on it. But do you think Bad Bunny is a good choice for the Super Bowl?
I'm not that knowledgeable about him, but it seems fine. And I don't know why it's a big deal. Seems like a great American artist. So sure.
He's not an American artist, but
he's Puerto Rican. That's America. He's American. Why is she like this? She's just saying such stupid bullshit with such matter-of-factness to confidence.
He's Puerto Rican. That's part of America, dear.
Yeah, you don't think...
Oh my God. You're actually getting fucking big broed by Krystal Ball. Holy shit.
I don't know why it's a big deal. Seems like a great American artist, so sure.
He's
why
not an American artist, but
he's Puerto Rican. That's part of America, dear.
yeah, you don't think you have any problem with him saying like the ICE is, well, I'm sure you don't, mother effers and sons of that he's not going to perform here.
Oh. He's not American. Yes, he is. And I'm sure you don't care about him saying fuck Donald Trump or fuck ICE. Why would I?
Due to immigration.
America agrees with him on that.
You
I
think
mean,
so?
Majority of Americans think ICE has gone too far. They've watched videos of like 79-year-old business owners be slammed to the ground and their ribs broken by ICE. So I think the American people are probably on board with that message at this point, Tommy.
Okay. Well, whoever you're talking to, I'm sure is. I'm not so sure the rest of the country is, but
I'm just looking at the polls. That's all.
Yeah, but you told me earlier that the polls
actual
didn't matter,
numbers
Krystal.
that are
You
behind
said
my statements,
sometimes
not just the
polls don't
vibes.
matter. Remember that when you told me
Yeah,
that
because
earlier? The polls
principles
don't matter.
principles matter. Principles matter. And
Yeah, fucking God. You shouldn't base your politics off of the polls, but the polls can tell you what America is feeling, and usually they're right. The polls predicted Donald Trump was going to win this election. They predicted Joe Biden was going to win in the previous election. Like, they're pretty damn good, man. The polls predicted Zorn was going to be Cuomo, and he did. Usually, the polls are correct. You can use polls to get an idea of what the country's feeling. That doesn't mean you should base your politics around it.
but when you're talking about where the American people are, that's when I consult the data. But in terms of what I believe,
it's helpful to you,
those are principles. No, in terms of what I believe, those are my principles.
Dude, I'm losing my mind. It's not that complicated to understand what certain demographics are thinking and feeling to go to the polls. For what you believe, the polls can be irrelevant because you're like, I believe in protecting trans rights no matter what the polls say, no matter how unpopular it is. That's not a hard concept to grasp.
And I stand by them even when they're unpopular.
Well, I love that you do that. So that's the one thing that we can agree on, is that you should stand by your principles and the polls.
Okay, guys. Holy shit. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm not gonna be covering Tomi Lahren anymore. That was, well, Bad Buddy's not American. Puerto Rico's in America, dear. She hit her with the deer. She hit her with the Puerto Rico's a part of America, dear. Ooh. Oh man. This was Tomi Lahren's channel. Tommy did top comment. Tommy didn't know Puerto Rico is part of the USA. You can't make this up. Tommy made the mistake of inviting someone with a fully functional brain. Tommy made the mistake of inviting someone with a fully functional brain on her show. As someone who watches Breaking Points pretty much every day, is very familiar with Krystal's worldview and often gets annoyed with that view. Tommy reignited my appreciation for Krystal. An absolute round. He's like, I fucking don't get along with Krystal. But actually, that was super enjoyable to see Krystal talk with Tommy. Tommy, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You got humiliated. Crazy how this is Tommy's channel and her own comment section seem to unanimously agree that she lost the debate. Guys, stop. I can't like all the comments. I totally forgot Tommy existed. This feels like a 7th grader debating their teacher. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. She feels like a kid who's like in detention or getting tutored by someone, and she's just bored with it and doesn't want to learn. Tommy got smoked. Holy shit, Tommy made a huge mistake inviting Krystal Ball. Right-leaning independent. Krystal crushed it. Dude, across the entire political spectrum, Krystal Ball is cooking Tommy. The most conservative people in the world. What kind of dumbass thinks we shouldn't tax the rich? That's the thing, dude. She's in her own bubble. Like, it's from 10 years ago. The new thing with the conservative right is being like, no, we should tax the rich. No, like, Israel is bad. you know, we'll still kick people out, but like we need to like pretend that we're for the working class. Tommy is just missed the memo on it. She's a relic from a forgotten era right now. Holy shit, that was so bad. I mean, right here. It's like watching a baby versus a tiger. Tommy, Bad Bunny is not an American. He's from Puerto Rico. That's American. I made the sacrifice to my YouTube algorithm just so I could see the comments supporting Krystal Ball on Tommy's video. Oh my god. The comments made it worth it, to be honest. No, like, it's just... I mean, brains were broken, but I don't know if Tommy Lawrence was one of them. That's assuming that she had a brain. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching so much. Happy Friday. Enjoy Friday tomorrow. Everyone, have a great rest of your night. See ya.